7-0, 15th straight game for a touchdown for CMC, and suddenly it's like, wow, the Niners are off and running. It's 7-0, and everything looks good. And then next, the Cleveland first drive, Fred Warner picks off PJ Walker on a ball that was going to David Bell. And so you're thinking, okay, hey, Niners are up 7-0, and things are going to go good. And then suddenly it's a penalty, false start on Kittle on the next drive. Jake Moody then misses a 54-yard field goal, and it's like, okay, well, maybe it's going to be that kind of a day. The defense, at times really struggled in this game. But then Dustin Hopkins missed a 47-yard field goal on the Browns' next drive, and so it's still 7-0. And then the penalty parade started on the Niners' third drive. There was a penalty on Burford for hands to the face. There was a penalty on Ambry Thomas for face mask on the punt. And, the penalties started to kind of roll up. Trent Williams got hurt, went down. His leg got rolled up on. He came back in the game, but it looked like an ankle injury. Deebo Samuel hurt his shoulder. Obviously, it was somewhat serious because he had to go back to the locker room. And so you had a 7-0 game early. The Browns would the Niners would make it 10-0 on the Jake Moody 10-yard field goal in the second quarter. Or I should say 50-yard, 25-yard field goal to make it 10-0, 11-play, 76-yard drive. And the big play there was Purdy to Ayuk, who hurdled Emerson for 32 yards. But, Ayuk had a bad game. Ayuk dropped a bunch of balls in this game. But at that point, the Niners are up 10-0, and you're still feeling pretty good. Then Brown's fourth possession, Kareem Hunt goes in on a halfback toss from 16 yards out, and you're sitting there going, wait a second, where's Dre Greenlaw? Oh, yeah, he's inactive. So now it's 10-7, 5-play, 88-yard drive. There was just a lot of adversity in this game, let's be honest. There was drops, there was penalties, there was missed field goals, there were some questionable play calls there at the end by Shanahan. Brock Purdy did not play particularly well. CMC went down, Deebo went down. Just a lot to contend with in this game. As we welcome in.
And I'm not a big blame the ref guy, fellas.
Right.
I think you guys know that. But
Yeah.
there were a couple atrocious calls at the end of that game. I thought, the
Gibson.
hit,
The Gibson
hit where he was flagged. He hit him right in the chest. That was terrible. And then it was
Terrible.
followed up by a ticky-tack holding call on Charvarius Ward. If that call against Gibson in particular doesn't get called, it's
Fourth and
10. And I think the 49ers we're celebrating a win. That being said,
that really gave Cleveland new life. Let's be honest. That call was the biggest call of the day.
But you know what? Absolutely,
and it's not reviewable.
They shouldn't have been in that situation. And I gotta go back to the offensive miscues, because that's where I thought the game was lost. The penalties that you mentioned, so many times the Niners were facing 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. We're talking 3 or 4 drives. When you get put into a 3rd and 20 situation, you're not going to convert those. BA had a big drop. I thought Purdy threw a nice ball down the field on a post right off of BA's fingertips. Purdy missed Christian McCaffrey on the wheel route out of the backfield. That should have been a touchdown. Moody, multiple missed field goals, including the potential game winner. Purdy was intercepted on a ball that was thrown behind him, the first pick of the season. And then I thought the game plan, it wasn't Kyle's best game plan, because I saw a lot of free rushers coming from the Cleveland Browns defense, getting in Purdy's face, making him uncomfortable. I mean, was this the worst game we've seen of Brock Purdy's career? Because I think it is. He's below 50%, 125 yards passing. He threw the pick. I was waiting for Purdy to make that big play that we're so accustomed to. And, that last drive, he did get him down into field goal range. And I was thinking, hey, it was an ugly game, but they're going to walk out a winner. No, missed field goal eliminates that.
He did have a rough game, but
the offensive miscues, it was too much to overcome.
Yeah, he got him down there when it counted. I mean, and some people are going to be all over Moody, and rightfully so. He blew the 41-yarder. The 54, he should make 2, but you can't say he's awful and get rid of him. I see some people in the chat say he should never be allowed to kick again for the 49ers. And hey, it's his first. But
I blame Shanahan on that one. I mean, you had 1st and 10 from the 26, and you run Jordan Mason on a buck into the line for 3 yards, and then you downed it. It's like you needed to be more aggressive there. I mean, you had more. You have a rookie kicker. At that point, you still had 30 seconds left.
You should try and get it. They should have
tried to get it a little closer.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
he's not Robbie Gould. Yeah, he's not Robbie Gould.
Not Robbie Gould.
Money from outside of 40, and Moody isn't. So
right, or inside of 40. Yeah, I mean, and Moody, it was a 41-yarder, and yeah, that's a kind of a gimme for a good NFL proven kicker, but it's a rookie in his first pressure moment, and he just pushed it a little bit to the right. But I don't know. It's like it was a wet day, so I think that had something to do with Purdy. It's a number 1 defense in football, and Schwartz. Let's credit the other guys a little bit, right? Schwartz, defensive line played well. Dalvin Tomlinson was back there creating havoc, even though he only made 1 tackle. Niners had to account for Myles Garrett. You knew this was going to be a huge challenge when you saw the mucky conditions and the number 1 D. So I wasn't expecting a massive Purdy performance, but at the end of the day, look what it took. People say, well, how's it going to look? I can't even picture Purdy losing a game. I can't picture this Niner team losing a game. Well, you know what it was going to take? A ton of adversity. The number 1 defense against on the road, no Dre Greenlaw, no Debo. CMC played half the game. Trent went out with an injury and then came back and was less than 100%. You had some really bad penalties on your team. You had a couple of tremendously horrible penalties. The Gibson penalty is the one that I'll think of when I think of this game, because that it would have been 4th and 10, and the Niners probably would have held there, and they were looking like they were going to win, and all of a sudden, boom. I hate that. They're officiating the contact. It was a lot of contact. There was absolutely a lot of contact. But, you can't – we're asking defensive players now to be like gymnasts. It's like you need to be so incredibly fine. That's not what they do. That's not how they're made. That's not how they're – that's not just – it just – and it was a perfect hit. And to see a perfect hit, penalized there for an automatic first down was just – a crushing blow. And
it was an awful call, because if he catches the ball, you're taught there as a defense to knock the ball loose. And he doesn't know when the ball's thrown and it's going right through his hands, if the ball's going to be caught or not. So he's going for the hit, and he doesn't hit him in the head. He intentionally, makes sure he goes to the shoulder. And I don't know why that's not a reviewable call. Why can't you throw the red flag on that? I don't understand.
It's a great question. I'll tell you the other one that was really a bad play. Well, how about the ball that on the Oliver sack, and they called it an incomplete pass, PJ Walker? He was barely moving his hand forward, barely at all. That's a pass. It should have been a Bosa scoop and score almost. The sack that was in the second quarter. It was 1st and 10. Right, it was a sack by It was a sack by Oliver. It looked like a fumble. They ruled it an incomplete pass, and they went to the booth review because it was inside of 2 minutes, and they said, "Yep, illegal forward pass," and then mix in the penalty for intentional grounding. But it really wasn't a pass. That was an interception. That was that was a fumble. It was. How could it not be a fumble? The guy was going to the ground. The ball was almost on the ground. And he just kind of barely pushes it forward. Come on. Then nobody's ever going to have a sack ever again if guys can just be viewed. Anytime you get a sack, just push it forward. So there was just a lot of adversity in this game. Rye, what'd you think?
Well, this game was coming at some point. I will take to some extent, like I actually kind of expected this. I got a little scared. I thought Watson was going to play, but I was hammering Browns plus 4.5. Then when it went up to 6, I started doubling down on Browns 6. And then this morning I was like 9.5. I'm hammering. And I tweeted earlier this week. It's going to be rainy in Cleveland with 20-mile-per-hour winds, and Cleveland is off a bye. I could see a dumb, low-scoring, sloppy game where the Niners get caught. That's kind of what happened. It was just a dumb, low-scoring, sloppy game. I think one thing that's really annoying me is like with the 49ers, like content creators specifically, like not calling out anyone, but just in general, like it really seems like they only watch the 49ers games and then they kind of like look at highlights and maybe keep one eye on red zone for the rest of the league. So it's like, people are outraged by like, this Purdy performance and the way the Niners offense was stifled. But it's like this Cleveland defense is legitimately on pace to be like an all-time defense. They're, I believe, oh God, I forget what it's called, but basically I think it's success rate is like the new cool stat. So basically, it's each like you get first down and it's like, do you convert a first down or not? And like that's considered success. And then even a field goal, if you get stopped and you kick a field goal, that's considered, not successful. So the average around the league in terms of being successful is like 65% on each drive. The Niners were leading the league. It wasn't even close. They were like 11 percentage points higher than that. I think they were like 72. The Browns were holding teams to like 40. So like the Browns on average, like 4 out of 10 times you get a first down. Like 6 out of 10 times you punt the ball and you don't even get a first down. So like this Cleveland Browns defense is just awesome. I actually put a future on them to win the Super Bowl before this because I was thinking, who are some sneaky teams? I threw a little on the Bengals, a little bit on the Browns. So I'm not surprised. Overall, it's just super frustrating with the penalties. And then I had a feeling in my gut, like, oh shit. Moody, man, he hasn't really been in the spotlight. This could be bad. And then they iced him. And you know what? It's okay. I just really hope my biggest thing is I hope Moody bounces back. And then I hope everyone's healthy.
I blame the NFL because I'm watching the game. The drive starts and they preempt the coverage because I got the Arizona Cardinals got to be shown. So I missed the entire freaking end of the game. And I'm like scrambling, trying to find the game. And I can't find Red Zone. And I have it somewhere, but I don't usually watch it because I'm watching 4 or 5 games at once in a block. And so I'm looking for Red Zone. I can't find it. So I missed the entire drive. So I'm like, I didn't even get to see the Moody kick. I'm watching it like on my stupid phone, like what happened? But you know what? In the end, they're still 5-1. They got beat without Debo, pretty much without McCaffrey, and they were able to get in position to win the game. This could be a growing experience. I mean, you got to look for the silver lining in this and say, hey, they're 5-1. They lost a game. Remember when they went 15-1 in '84? They lost to the Steelers on a horrible call, and they won the Super Bowl that year. They went 18-1. It's pretty tough to go undefeated. If they go 14-3, 15-2, they're going to be fine. As long as they stay healthy, this team is. I don't see anybody beating them if their main guys are healthy.
Kev, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Rye. This defense, I think it's the complete opposite of what happened last week when the Cowboys were coming in as the #1 defense and they just got completely obliterated. This Browns team pretty much had everything going for them. I mean, the weather, the bye, the defensive line was just destroying the 49ers offensive line. The key players were missing for the 49ers. But I still put the blame on Purdy. He did not have a good game. I just can't. I mean, he had open receivers. He missed them behind. He missed them in front. He was, 12 of 27 or something like that? I don't have the box up in front of me. But, yeah, I mean, that was not a good game. And, I guess the best thing you can really look forward in this game is that at the end of the game, they got down and they were able to kick a field goal, but they missed. So, tough game in the rain. I really thought early on that some of those throws that he missed were because of the rain, but then later in the game, it seemed like the rain subsided and he still wasn't hitting some of those receivers. So tough game.
He was getting rushed. I mean, he was throwing off his back foot.
I don't know. I mean, you could blame Purdy because it's easy to blame the quarterback, but where was Brandon Ayuk today? I mean, Brandon Ayuk needed to show up in a huge way and didn't.
I mean, he did at the end of the last drive.
Yeah, guy had 4 drops, 4 balls that hit him in the hands, and he dropped some easy ones. I mean, dropped some easy ones today. So to me, Ayuk, I think, was the most disappointing. The horror to me. I mean, one, you got to credit the Browns. There's a reason that what is now Schwartz against Shanahan. It's like
9-1 now.
9-1.
9-1. Yep.
Schwartz is 9-1 against Shanahan. That's so he's got his number a little bit. So that and credit Cleveland on all 3 levels. Denzel Ward played great. Myles Garrett, Tomlinson played great up front. JOK was monster in this game as well. He made a number of plays. So, I mean, Cleveland's defense is really, really good. You knew the Niners would be a little flat coming off of the Dallas national TV game. There was no question. And then not having Dre Greenlaw, I think, is huge. He's such a tone setter. The Browns had more success in the short game and in the, underneath game than I thought they would have. And then, the injuries. I mean, CMC got destroyed. Samuel's out. Trent played the entire second half with a retaped ankle that, we'll see how it feels tomorrow. Purdy definitely struggled, but it was, you're on the road, wet weather, your weapons are down, and he threw the 1 ball behind Ayuk that was a pick, and he could have thrown 2 picks or 3 picks. It wasn't a good game for him for sure, but I thought his weapons let him down. Kittle was a total non-factor. Ray, once Tebow went out, you needed Ray to step up. The only guy who really I felt like stepped up was Juwan. I thought Juwan stepped up with some good plays. And then just the horrible calls. I mean, come on, let's be totally honest about this. If that Gibson call doesn't go against them, the Niners probably win the game. So, and then Moody, your rookie kicker. I also blame Shanahan. I mean, you got real conservative there down on that final drive. It's like you didn't have to get that conservative. You didn't have to settle for a 40-yard field goal. You could have gotten another 10 yards, made it a 30-yard field goal. The difference would have been astronomical. So I thought that was a little bit of a bad Shanahan plan there. I mean, obviously it's Monday morning quarterbacking 2020 hindsight, but I was saying it in real time, watching it on the couch. Be more aggressive. Don't just go for the down the. Let Purdy throw the ball there. Let's see if you can carve out 5 more yards, 10 more yards, 41-yard field goal on the road in wet conditions. I'm sure the odds go way, way up if that's from 35. People in the chat saying Moody choked and this and that. He's a rookie kicker. You got to kind of know that you got a rookie kicker. This was another one. If they have Robbie Gould, they probably win this game.
Are you thinking maybe his thinking is I'm not letting the refs take me out of this game with a holding call if we run up for
or the huge negative play, or just wet ball. Purdy's not having a good day. What if he throws the pick? He's thinking, 41-yard field goal. He's got a good shot at making that.
I mean, that's a chip shot for an NFL kicker. I mean, I'm serious.
But he's a rookie.
Yeah,
he's a rookie
kicker.
Still,
it was right down the middle. I mean, it wasn't on one of the hashes. It was like I was a kicker. You just kick that thing like it's an extra point. It's just you're right down the middle.
But it's 41 yards out. That's not an extra point.
Well, 33 is an extra point in the NFL. It just your form's the same though. Whether it's 40 or 30.
Got to go coach him up.
Your form's the same. You just have to just plant his leg. I watched his plant foot. It's exactly where the ball went. His plant foot was not straight down the middle. It was just off, and that's where the ball always goes, is where you plant your plant foot. So,
I think another major factor in this game, though, was no Greenlaw. I mean, the Browns ran the ball 34 times and they had a perfect balance, 34 passes, 34 runs, but they ran 34 for 160 and almost 5 yards a carry. So, I mean, obviously the Goodwin 20-yard carry has a lot to do with that. But Jerome Ford had that 22-yard run at the wrong time. I mean, they just, they didn't stop the run. And, what can you say? I mean, Lenoir played well with that great pick on the sideline.
That was a momentum shifter because I was nervous up until that point. The offense
Randy Gregory played well, too.
Oh, he looked great.
Yeah.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
But fellas, it felt like when the Browns needed to make a play, it was Amari Cooper. He had a catch down the sideline on Charvarius Ward. He had a catch down the sideline on Demo Lenoir. It was just, he had over 100 yards receiving. When the Browns needed a spark and they needed a play on third down, they went to Cooper, and more often than not, he converted.
You got to give credit to Stefanski for the game plan, too, because I mean, PJ Walker, Texas Ranger, he was kind of good in Carolina for a bit there when he came in for Darnold. He was kind of exciting. But I liked how they just kind of took the Niners pass rushers out of the game. It was just like screen city, and it was super frustrating as like just watching it. And it's just like, I can't really blame the Niners defense, but it's just so annoying to just have to keep guarding all these freaking screen passes. And Elijah Moore's great, in space, and so is Kareem Hunt. And it's just all these little God, it was just
and that's how you neutralize a pass rush, right?
And then all of a sudden the defense is on the field for a while. They're tired, and that's when all of a sudden the big runs start to happen. So I don't know. It sucks also because the Eagles are going to go to 6-0, and then all of a sudden this game in Philly is going to become very important. Also, do we take it at least like Lair, specifically you? Isn't it kind of nice to have? We're seeing there's a lot of a lot of people that said that they finally came over to the Purdy side are now right back to, we're tweeting out hand
not
size.
Good enough. Yeah.
I've seen multiple metrics on his hand size.
He's got bigger hands than Lance.
He's got the same size hands as Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of confirmation bias type tweets. I'm seeing Nick Wright's taking a victory lap on Purdy. So this is just good because you know what?
Yeah.
It was getting a little bit out of control. I like to be not that you know what I mean? The Purdy love, because how could you not love him? He's been pretty much perfect, but the national Purdy love was getting almost too much. We got to have a little bit of a pushback on that.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun.
But if you guys, to me, if we had to rank the number 1, 2, and 3 reasons why the 49ers lost this game, I'm not putting Purdy in 1, 2, or 3. I would say this was first. I would credit the Browns and their defense. That's 1. 2, I would say the horrible calls against Gibson and Mooney Ward on that drive. Come on, guys. I mean, we can sit there and say, well, they shouldn't have been in that position. They were in that position, and that was a horrendous call. I mean, so there's it's like, crying about penalties. It's a fact. It's a fact. That to me was a major one. The Browns were great. Horrendous calls against Gibson and Mooney. And if I had to go with number 3, I'd probably go with Ayuk on the drops, because Ayuk, especially when Debo goes out and Ayuk wants to step up and be the number 1 guy. This is when you got to show you're a number 1 guy. When CMC's hurt, when Debo's hurt, when you're on the road in bad weather. And this is the game where he had to stand up and be like, hey, you know what? I'm the big dog in here. And he had a totally below average game with 3 or 4 key drops. So I would say the horrible calls, Cleveland's D, and Ayuk's drops, to me, are more in front of, Purdy's struggles. I mean, I guess I could also blame Kittle as well, but it didn't seem like they went to Kittle. Almost like the game plan wasn't to throw it to Kittle today.
I think they were so worried, they just kept him in as an extra blocker the entire game. And I'd also say, honestly, losing just Debo, okay, we can make up for it. That's the beauty of having McCaffrey. Losing Debo and McCaffrey is just brutal. I mean, it's for what they want to do in their offense. It's just brutal. I mean, I'm visualizing like that last drive with McCaffrey out there, and it's just he's just that reliable. Like Purdy already has the sixth sense with him. Just the dump offs that turn into big gainers, and just
I would switch out your third one for the offensive line. I thought they were just getting Purdy was facing pressure all day, and through the middle from the outside, it was tough for him to make any plays when Dalvin Tomlinson was sitting in his lap. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We people in here going, "Oh, I disagree, Krug." You know, Batman says you bad take, Krug. You got to put Purdy in the top 3 reasons why we lost. He didn't even at halftime. They were crediting him on the halftime show for not turning it over amid all this pressure. He had the one turnover. He had one pick. The guy's thrown one pick all year. He threw a ball behind Ayuk, but to me,
I mean, he missed McCaffrey wide open. On that wheel route.
He missed him.
Been a touchdown.
And he also almost had another pick on the first play of the last drive. I mean, that was almost a pick as well. That was a dropped pick. But to me, it's like, Brandon Ayuk, come on, man. You want to be a number 1 guy? You got to step up in a game like this. You had no Debo. This is your moment. You need to step up and be the number 1 guy. And to me, he was kind of a no-show. I guess I could throw Moody in there, but I kind of blame Shanahan more than I blame Moody because you got to know that you got a rookie kicker. And I don't think a 41-yarder in any way is a gimme, and I thought he got real conservative there at the end. Let's hit some of the supers, and then we'll go around the room on a couple other things. Sal Goodman says, I blame Eric Branch. Yeah, Eric Branch, who's a beat writer for some small dying entity, asked Kyle Shanahan this week, you guys have, been so fortunate with the injuries. And Kyle has given him a look like, you got to be kidding me. And the PR staff is like shaking their head. And it's just like the worst jinx of all time. I mean, you just don't say that. You don't say, yeah, you guys have been remarkably healthy and, you really have avoided the injuries. It's like, it's the hex of hexes. So, yes, I agree. Branch, seriously. Better questions. Mark Failer, thoughts on Kyle not using the third down with a timeout and 30 seconds on the clock to hand it off to Jordan Mason again, hopefully to get a little closer. Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, I understood Greg Olsen had a good point. Like the Browns defense is the number 1 in the league against the rush. And I think they were worried about them just, they're loading up for the run. They're just could stuff Mason, could be a negative 3-yard gain. I don't know.
But on a wet day in these conditions, and you kicked it on third down, so you kind of knew that there was always a chance for like a fumbled snap or something else. You knew it wasn't like a gimme. You were kicking on third down. It's like, you know what? Just try to get 10 more yards. Try to get 5 more yards. I mean, it's just to me, I would have tried to make it. I would have thought touchdown, just simply because you got a rookie kicker. And if you get to a gimme situation, fine. But I would have tried to be really aggressive there and not put it in.
Yeah, and Mason was running like 5 yards a carry. I know that doesn't necessarily mean he'd run for 5 more yards, but any yardage there would have helped. 44 is pretty deep for him.
40. It was 41, I think. Saul Goodman says missing Kittle, last seen in Santa Clara, October 8th. We got this one from Hicks. He says, what was Kyle thinking? Mason picked up some yardage there with ample amount of time on first down. Then on second down, he decides to waste time and spike it and put it all on the pressure on the rookie. Moody, yeah, I didn't like that at all. Didn't like it at all. I thought that was way. You don't have Robbie Gould there. You got Robbie. That's a Robbie Gould kind of a plan, right? That's a Robbie Gould. I got the veteran kicker who I absolutely know is going to make it. And so I'm going to get hyper conservative, and I'm going to, no, you don't get hyper conservative there. You got a rookie kicker. I thought I put that on Shanahan as well. Lamb, your leader, says refs altered the game. You can't make that call on Gibson. Niners fought for that victory, and Moody blew it. Yeah, I really, to me, I'll think of this. I'll think of that Gibson call, before almost everything else. That to me is number 1. And Brown's defense is number 2. Schwartz and Brown's defense collectively, and then I would put it on Ayuk. And then I would go to Purdy and Shanahan and Moody and but also it just, let's be honest, guys, it's just there was so much adversity in this game, period. Niners were coming off an emotional letdown after a national TV win against Dallas. They probably partied pretty good Sunday night. They're feeling good. Everybody's kissing their butt all week, telling them how great they are. All this discussion of, will you run the table? Are you guys the best team? Is this the best Niner team ever? There was all kinds of people just stroking them this week. So they bring no real adversity, a real edge into this game. Then I really thought the pregame brawl was going to benefit the Niners because I thought, what? What? You may have gotten the Niners F game today, but now you're fighting before the game. I think in some ways that's going to light their fuse. The Niners come out, take a 10-0 lead. You're feeling good. Warner's got a pick. You're up points. The Browns have their third-string quarterback, and then all of a sudden the Browns, Walker started making some plays. Cooper made some plays. Hunt made some plays. Moody missed a field goal, and it all just there was just an awful lot of adversity in this game. Then Trent goes down; he missed some time. Then it's like I thought the Browns did an exceptional job on Nick Bosa in this game. They constantly parked an extra guy out there on Nick's side. They chipped him all day. They basically said, we're taking Nick Bosa out of this mix, and they kind of did. So credit them. They had a good plan as well. The recovery says Purdy's allowed one bad game. Even with that said, when it mattered, he got us in field goal range. It is what it is. Yeah. That's why I can't really, at the end of the day, put Purdy on the top of the list because he is allowed a bad game. It was wet conditions. He didn't have his weapons. He was going against the number 1 D, and he still let him down the field for what should have been the game-winning field goal, he really won that game a couple times. So I don't know. It's everybody's going to blame the quarterback. I get it. I understand that. Daza says Purdy will bounce back, but he was bad. But it also shows what he looks like without CMC. CMC drives the offense.
You know what? That's last week we were talking about MVP discussion stuff. I think this one's a feather in CMC's cap a little bit. The guy is just. It really shouldn't take anything away from Brock. It's just like CMC's so freaking good, and he is the engine of this team. And I'm thinking back to they had that 3-and-out to get the Browns the ball back and then of course the bullshit penalties, and they ended up getting the field goal. But that throw, they never showed a replay of it, but it seemed like a pretty decent throw, and Ayuk did have to dive a little bit for it, but he should have caught that. If he catches that first down, I'm pretty sure that the game's over at that point. They just run the ball and it's over.
The offense they weren't sharp in general. And talking about CMC, he was dominant on that first drive, right? He had a 30-yard run, then he caught the shuffle pass for the touchdown. But fellas, after the first drive, Christian McCaffrey went 10 carries for 13 yards. Like, he was non-existent after that first drive. You couple that with Brock playing probably his worst game of his career, BA's dropping balls, George Kittle's non-existent. It was just not enough players on offense stepped up to the occasion.
I really think the wet ball played a factor. You even saw Walker misthrowing balls that guys were wide open. But Brock missed that one pass. I think it was to CMC. Was it Ayuk, or was it Ayuk on the it was CMC. That's right. And he was wide open.
It was a free play.
It was a free play. Yeah, he just overthrew it. I really think he had you saw him, the ball slipped one time. He threw one ball that just kind of floated like a duck to the sideline. It wasn't anywhere near the receiver, and it just slipped out of his hand. You could tell it slipped because the way the ball was spinning, it was, just going not even where the receiver was. So I think that had a lot to do with just the game day. And then the pressure they were putting on Brock. They had a great game plan. They stopped the run. 49ers really could hardly run on him at all. Like you just said, Baller, 10 carries for 13 yards after, he got the touchdown early. I just think Cleveland's a lot better defense than we even thought they were, and they had a good game plan. And the fact that you lost your two biggest weapons, you took two of the bullets right out of you're shooting blanks basically. McLeod looked to me a little bit like at times like he wasn't sure what play was being run. I mean, he was in motion a couple times when he wasn't supposed to be, and he was just—they
weren't sharp. They just weren't sharp.
Yeah,
I mean, the Niners' offense wasn't sharp, and it showed. It showed. And then now we got this one from Carson. He says, "Would you guys trade for Dalvin Cook depending on CMC?"
No, Dalvin Cook's washed.
Yeah,
what's CMC's injury right now? It's
oblique.
Oblique. It made sense. Like they were rubbing his back. He was trying to stretch out his hammies. That looks like one of those like psoas type deals where it's like deep inside here. And I think it's just got to show my fantasy football doctor.
Psoas. Okay, the psoas muscle.
I'm calling it the psoas.
I hate that muscle being worked on.
Who's the lady who does the injuries on the fantasy show on ESPN?
I have no clue.
Oh,
Stephania Bell.
Stephania Bell. Where's Stephania Bell when you need her? We got this one from Spencer Stewart. Just says, "Here's $1." It's like, that's not going to make us feel better, Spencer, but we appreciate.
He's a Browns fan.
Roberto Davis's call against Gibson was horseshit. Well, that's a good way of saying it. That's pretty much accurate there.
The booth was pretty butthurt about it. Like the booth always likes to give the benefit of the doubt to the refs. Greg Olsen, whoever his partner were, they were not happy. They were just like,
why? Here's what I don't get. Why do we have the fastest, most impactful plays in the sport are not reviewable?
It just makes no sense.
I mean, let's take the call that's bang bang that nobody can possibly see in real time, and there's so much, and let's overreact because we're so much in protect the player mode. Let's overreact to the contact, and then let's not have a safety blanket there or any kind of there's no net at all to cover to. So it's like you've already got kind of this like agenda where you're pushing for player safety.
I mean, college football has it. They on the targeting calls, they review them.
Yeah, I mean, why can't you have that be reviewed? I mean, because a simple review of that, and once you saw the angle there, I mean, you can review a face mask, right? Why can't you? Why can't in the middle of a scrum, and you can sit there and go, "Oh, look at him! He yanked the face mask." Oh, yeah, we reviewed it. Penalty. Why can't you review a PI call like that when the guy sticks him right here in the shoulder pads? And
it wasn't even a PI call. It was a roughing it was a
intentional unnecessary
defenseless receiver.
That's reviewable in college. Anytime
that should be automatically sent upstairs. That should be sent upstairs.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime in college there's a possible targeting, they review it to see if it was targeting.
Well, and you know what? I got to say that. Okay, conspiracy theory. So they showed the graphic. It's like by far the most penalty yards in the entire NFL. Do you think that the crew got together after the pregame scuffle and was like, "We're calling a tight game today. We're gonna throw flags. We can't let this thing get out of control." And so anything that was kind of questionable, maybe I'm just throwing it out there.
I really believe they officiate the contact. The contact was massive. And so they're looking at that going, "Oh God, that's got to be a you know
what? I think we're getting really close to just putting flags on these guys. Come on, that was so ridiculous."
And it's one thing to favor the offense. Okay, you want to favor the offense because offense sells tickets. I get that, but now it's like you can't go low, you can't go helmet to helmet. Any kind of really tough contact, draws a penalty. It's not reviewable. It just doesn't. It seems like there's several things that really go against the defense. And that one right there was just like,
I feel like way too many times the refs officiate the result. They like wait for the play to be over, and then if there's a drop, they throw the flag, and if it's a catch, they'll hold it. It's so annoying.
It's like basketball.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it rolls around the rim. If it goes down, it's not a foul. But if it rolls off the rim, it is a foul.
Ronnie Lott would have been thrown out of the league for too many penalties in this game, the way they play the game today. Because you know what? That hit is textbook what you teach a defensive back to do. Because if you let him catch it and then you just, okay, we're just not going to knock him down. You just give him a light tap. He may break the tackle and run for a touchdown. You smash the guy as hard as you can, avoid the head and avoid using your head. That's what you do. Because if he would have, let's say that ball would have come down and he caught it, and Gibson's hit would have jarred that ball loose for an incomplete pass. It just would have. Because the way he hit him, he would hit him in the shoulder, and it would have, the ball would have went flying because it was perfect timing. I just, to me, the NFL is getting to be like it's just, what is this? I mean, I understand protecting the receiver, but what's a defender supposed to do? Let him catch it?
I mean, it's like, to properly understand NFL officiating, you have to read it almost like a history story. There was first this play, and then it evolved into this, and then it was, could he survive the ground? And then they decided that you had to do this. And then all of a sudden, then there was the tuck rule, and then there was this rule. And it's like, you almost have to read it like a history lesson to understand how we got to where we're at right now. But you're right. I mean, it's just, it's become borderline impossible to play defense. And then I'll tell you the other one that drives you crazy. It's like, so that's a penalty on Gibson. But you'll see running backs just get smoked helmet to helmet all the time.
Yep.
And there's no penalty on that. We're talking helmet to helmet, boom, and nothing. But if a quarterback takes a shot helmet to helmet, you're sure drawing a flag. And in this situation, any kind of a, you got two guys going in opposite directions. You got the receiver coming this way, you got the defender going that way. So any kind of impact is going to be significant because it's the velocity. It's not one guy standing and the other guy hurling himself into the play. It's two guys going at each other, boom. So there's going to be a big hit there. And it's always going to go against the defender. I mean, seriously, the offensive player is trying to go upfield. That's an aggressive play. The defender is trying to stop him. He's equally aggressive. If they're not helmet to helmet and the guy's not leading with the crown of his helmet and he tags him and he doesn't go helmet to helmet and you're still calling a penalty, I got to ask myself, if I'm a defender, what do I do? It's like you're almost telling everybody on defense, just kind of grab and corral and wait for your friends to kind of collectively push the guy to the ground. It's like, we've gotten to a point where it's almost impossible to play D. Hicks says Schwartz looking like the villain from Avatar, Stephen Lang, LOL. Hey, give Schwartz, his credit. He's got a gaudy record against Shanahan.
So because Shanahan has ownage over so many coaches, and we see it time and time again. It's like, obviously, the 49ers play the Rams, they have ownage. Shanahan plays LaFleur, he has ownage. I didn't really know if there was anybody out there that had major ownage on Shanahan, but Schwartz is the guy. I mean, they're 1-8. He's 1-8 now against him.
1-9, I think.
1-9. And then also there was a stat the year when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, they scored 30 or more in every single game, except for when they played Jim Schwartz's Eagles. Then they scored 16 in a loss. So it's just,
it's part of the reason. It's part of the reason, Rye, that Shanahan wanted that to go with the wide 9, because that's the system that gives him the most problems. And so he's like, hey, I think this is the best system. It gives me a lot of problems. And is it the system? Is it the personnel? The Browns have tremendous personnel. Garrett was a top pick. Ward was a top pick. JOK should have been a top pick. They got Zadarius Smith's a great player. Newsom's a hell of a player. They got a lot of good defensive talent for sure. Rodman Sanchez says, where was Kyle's creativity today? He wasn't able to adjust. Toward the end, we got going, but Kyle got conservative when he could have gotten more yards. Yeah.
There's something to that, because throughout these 5-6 games, we've seen receivers like BA running wide open with 5 yards of separation. It didn't happen quite as much today. So that's where you got to give kudos to Jim Schwartz. The pass rush, I thought they were getting after Brock Purdy. And then the free rushers. I thought the Browns had a lot of untouched rushers coming in Brock Purdy's face where, he's throwing with defensive ends and DBs that are blitzing right up in his grill. It's harder to complete passes that way.
I also think that Purdy and Shanahan are both kind of like rhythm. Like Shanahan's kind of a rhythm play caller. Purdy's obviously a rhythm player. They kind of need to get that momentum going. And then once it's churning, then that's when things really start to break. And they just couldn't, they just couldn't get any momentum going. It just seemed like, Purdy, first and down, intentional grounding. Now we're back to, 2nd and 20. It was just, except for the first drive, they just couldn't put a bunch of plays together. And I really think there was moments where, like, if Ayuk made catches, maybe they could have, like, really kind of gone on a run there, gotten hot, but it just didn't happen. And I will say Browns, a lot of credit to the Browns, freaking legit ass team. The other stat that was crazy, I think before this game, they only allowed one goal line drive in the entire season. So one time where the opposing team was like, first and goal. Just nuts.
I'll say this. I thought the game plan was horseshit, to be totally honest. You've got a rainy day in Cleveland against the number one defense in football. That was also the number one pass defense in football. You lost Debo early. J.P. Mason is a burgeoning power back who just showed you something exciting last week. He ran for over 5 yards a carry in this game, but he only got 5 carries. And you're still running Elijah Mitchell, and you're running, Ray, and you're running those guys. It's like, this should have been a heavy Jordan Mason game, and you should have had a 65-35 run-pass split on a wet day in Cleveland against a number one pass D, and instead you had more passes than you had runs in a game that you led and were never behind by more than one score. So they didn't, once again, Shanahan gets a little pass happy at times, and he doesn't necessarily recognize when he should have a run dominant scheme. Today should have been a run the ball with your big backs. This should have been especially with McCaffrey once he got dinged. This should have been a Jordan Mason TDP. TDP was inactive, but this should have been a heavy Jordan Mason game. Pound him, pound the run. Play action pass off of that. They never really got into any kind of a rhythm. I just think they've underutilized Jordan Mason.
His TD was nice.
I think the game plan was wrong. I think the game plan should have been run power at the Browns, run at them. I mean, their numbers were, once again, their number one pass D, number one defense, and number one pass D. So especially once you saw the rain conditions and you lost Debo early, it's like, you know what? Get conservative, start running the heck out of the ball, and run your power back, and run downhill at these guys a little bit more. And instead, it was they tried to run to McCaffrey. He got 11 carries, but I mean overall 25 runs and 27 passes on a wet day against the number one pass defense. That should have been more like, 20 passes and 35 runs, something like that. It should have been a much heavier run pass split than it was, in my opinion.
And I thought J.P. Mason was running the ball hard, being decisive, running with power. And then Kyle started bringing in Eli Mitchell, who we know is coming off this injury. I would have rather to see Kyle keep rolling with Jordan Mason, because Eli, he had 2 touches, -3 yards. I thought Jordan Mason had the hot hand, Larry. I agree with you. Give J.P. Mason the rock.
Yeah, ride him a little bit, especially once your weapons start going down. And if you lost Trent and Trent's going against Garrett, then Trent comes back in. Well, he's coming back in, but he's got a badly taped, lower ankle sprain going against Myles Garrett. Run the freaking ball. Just run the ball with your power back. Instead, they kind of fell in love with the pass today, against the number one pass D with a killer D line. I mean, and in wet conditions. And then at the end of the day, we're like, oh, Brock Purdy was disappointing. He was going to be disappointing, and this should have been a big JP Mason game. I mean, especially since Mason's your fresh back. Mason's 24, and he's barely run. And he looked incredible against Dallas last week. Run him, but no, he gets 5. He gets 5 carries.
I mean, I don't understand how it doesn't make any sense. They had 27 pass attempts and 25 rushing attempts in a game against the best pass defense in a wet game. Why are you passing more than you're running?
I mean,
only 55 plays did the Niners run to Cleveland's 70. So
they didn't stop the run. They didn't stop the run well enough. They didn't run the ball well enough.
To be fair, Cleveland's run D also is fucking awesome. Like they held Henry to 20 yards. They held Mixon to like 50.
But where are they ranked? Weren't they ranked like I think they are the number 1 pass D. I know that. I think they were like 6 or 7 against the run. I mean, it's a great defense, period. I'm just saying that in these conditions on this kind of a field, this should have been a power run to Jordan Mason kind of a day. And I would have gone up to Mason at his locker and said, hey, big boy, we're riding you today. We're riding you. And then once CMC was dinged up, I mean, it was like, and you had no Debo, then it's like, hey, you know what? Run the heck out of the ball between the tackles and see if you can punch them in the mouth and deliver a little physicality. Daza says it was wet, but PG Walker had to play in the same conditions, and he's a third-string quarterback. Also, the O-line was bad. Still my biggest concern. What is your guys' – that's a good one right there. Let me get a couple of these, and we'll get your guys' biggest concern. Saul Goodman, better a loss today than in week 6 than in week 16. Hey, you know what? You're not going to – it's not about the loss, guys, because, I mean, let's be honest. Nobody runs the table. It's the NFL. The Niners had some of the greatest teams of all time. They would go 14-2, 13-3. I mean, it's you're going to lose a game, especially and there's going to be some bad calls. Danny already talked about, the perfect season or the call in '84 that made the Niners 15-1 instead of 16-0. It happens. You're going to have bad calls. Today was just a combination of factors, and it was just too much adversity to overcome. And to me, I'd rather lose like this, where you got, man, this went wrong, that went wrong, this went wrong, that went wrong, than just, get blown out and be like, whoa, what happened here? They still almost beat the number 1 D on the road in their place, coming off of an emotional win against Dallas with no Debo, not much from, not hardly anything from CMC, and Trent, out there hurt, and no Dre Greenlaw. I mean, you're taking away 4 or 5 key players there.
You look at the whole situation, like you say, Larry. You lost a tough game, but you lost Debo, you lost CMC. Purdy didn't play well. Offense didn't even get 200 yards total, 207, something like that for the whole game, and you lost on the last play of the game on within 3 feet of that thing being good. It's pretty, remarkable that was Cleveland's best shot. And the Niners played probably a C- game overall and still should have won the game, should have walked off the field victorious on the last play of the game. So
12 penalties. We didn't mention that.
Yeah, Cleveland had 13. Cleveland actually had more penalty yards, 119 to 107, something like that. So it was evenly called game, but we look at the one call, obvious, the biggest one with Gibson. But you know what? All that, you take all of that, and the Niners still had a chance to win the game. So I feel pretty good that going forward, when these guys get healthy, whether they miss a game or two, CMC and Debo, you got the bye coming up after 2 more games. Maybe you get through Minnesota, Cincinnati, and CMC needs to take the next 2 weeks off, gets 3 full weeks rest, comes back. I don't know. But they got the horses to be able to beat Minnesota in Minnesota next Monday night, come home against Cincinnati, which would be a tough game, but they got the horses to be able to win that and go into the bye week 8-1, or would that be 7-1? 7-1. Yeah, 7-1. So I mean, all is not lost. It's a tough loss, but like you said, Larry, much rather lose this way and look at all the opportunities than losing 40-8.
Yeah. Well, which they did do to the Eagles.
Exactly. That's why I brought that up. So yeah.
A flood says Brock struggled a bit without CMC and Debo, but we're 5-1. We aren't going 17-0. Brock still led us down the field for the game-winning field goal. We are all right. No question about that.
And the Eagles, I just took a look at the Eagles schedule. Like, they have tough games that we do not have on the schedule. They have to play Buffalo, Kansas City. They have to play Dallas. They have to play Miami next week.
Wow.
So
the Lost Legacy Files. We got bailed out on phantom penalties. Stop crying. I have no idea what he's talking about. We've got this one. WTM. Purdy can never ask for $40 million. That'll be a joke.
I don't even want to think about that. I was thinking about that the other day, actually. I was like, that's when the debates are going to get scary, is when it comes time for the contract.
The check.
Let's see what his resume looks like at that point. Spencer Stewart said the Niners had a lot of second and third and longs today. Didn't seem to have very many second and third and manageables. Give Schwartz
because of the penalties. It's because of the penalties. And just because the Browns committed a bunch of penalties, that doesn't excuse you from committing a bunch of penalties. That's why the Niners were 5-0 coming into this game. They're well coached. They're playing clean football, keeping the penalties under control. Today, it was a difficult task when you're setting your quarterback up for 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. And Larry, you were just talking about, what's the biggest weakness, or however you worded it, of this 49ers team. And what I'm thinking of is the drop back passing game, like on obvious passing situations. I thought today there was a lot of 3rd and long, and the Niners didn't handle it very well. So that's where I'm looking, the obvious passing situations, because 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3, where the run is a possibility and Purdy can come off the play fake. I think it caters more to Purdy's strengths, but 3rd and long, I want to see how we.
So what's the solution there?
Don't play the Browns without your weapons.
I mean, what's the solution there? I mean,
eliminate the penalties.
Get a new quarterback, get new receivers, get a better line.
No, it's cut back the penalties, because today it was the false starts, the holding calls.
Well, the two that really burned them was after the Browns took the lead late 3rd quarter. Niners got the ball back on their own 25-yard line. CMC came back in the game for a moment. It was their 9th possession, very end of the 3rd quarter. First play of the drive, hold against Trent Williams. Second play of the drive, false start, Aaron Banks. And they're 1st and 25. And a couple plays later, they're punting back to the Browns. Now, ultimately, the Browns didn't score on their next possession, but that right there just kind of, those two penalties on that drive just derailed that entire drive. I mean, it was basically punt time at that point. Spencer Stewart. Oh, we already get that one. Did we get this one? Did we read this one? Spencer Stewart. The Niners had a lot of. Yeah, we read that. We got this one from Daza, who says, "Oh wait, where we go? There we go." I agree Mason should have gotten the ball more, but Brock Purdy is an MVP candidate. Don't put the ball in your best player's hands. Well, I mean, it's also read the room. You're going against the number 1 pass defense. Trent Williams is not 100%. You don't have Debo. It's wet conditions. To me, if you're not going to run J.P. Mason, who's a 25-year-old fresh power back coming off of an incredible performance on the road in the slop, with your left tackle dinged in wet conditions, with Debo already out of the game and CMC crushed, then when the hell are you going to run him? I mean, when exactly are you going to run J.P. Mason if you couldn't run him today? I'd love to know that. That would be my question, is what conditions does it take for J.P. Mason to get 10 carries in a game? I'd love to know, because if today's not it, I seriously got to wonder if there's ever a time where he could get 10 carries in a game. That's all I'm saying. I want to see 10, 15 carries from a big power back. Now, there's a risk with J.P. Mason. He could put it on the carpet. He fumbled 3 or 4 times in camp this summer. He's not as reliable as Elijah Mitchell as far as holding onto the football, but he is young, powerful, strong runner who runs through arm tackles and can get downhill, and he's got a little bit more speed than you think. To me, it seemed like a perfect game to give him 15 carries. Hicks says if Kyle was 1-8 against Schwartz and is the reason why he decided to model our defense from him, why didn't we hire Schwartz in the offseason instead of Wilkes? Maybe everybody hates Schwartz. Doesn't Schwartz seem like a guy that's easy to hate, by the way?
Well, remember him and Harbaugh?
The Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You shook my hand too hard.
Yeah.
That was good. 808 Niner member for 5 months. He says, "What up, my guys? Purdy missed too many throws, and the O-line was awful, but the D got run all over. They better get it fixed, or the Eagles will kill us." Okay, so that's what I want to go to next. At 808 Niner, thank you for being a member. Always give a little clap for our members. Let's talk about that, because I actually believe that one of the key factors in the loss today happened before the game even started, and that was no Dre Greenlaw. The Niners have two spectacular linebackers in Dre Greenlaw and Kurt and Fred Warner. I always want to call him Kurt. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, amazing linebackers. Greenlaw hits so damn hard that he winds up getting hurt. He seems like he gets more and more nicked as the season goes on. Cleveland ran a ton in this game, and they ran for almost 5 yards a carry. I think they missed not having Greenlaw was huge, absolutely huge. And then I'm going to throw it to you guys and say, all right, it is the 15th of October. The trade deadline is exactly 2 weeks away. You've seen this team win games. Today you saw them lose a game. You've seen them look incredible. Today you saw them with all kinds of flaws. There's all kinds of teams that want Caleb Williams and Michael Penix and Drake May at the top of the draft. So almost all the bad teams, from what I can tell, are lining up to sell off of 2 or 3 key difference maker players. We saw Van Jefferson move this week. There's a rumor mill that's filled with all kinds of teams trying to position for Caleb Williams and Michael Penix and Drake May. And then you got the Niners in their Super Bowl window with $41 million of cap room and a full arsenal of draft choices. And there's a report that was out this morning, and I don't know how reputable it is, that the Niners made a call to the Bears about Jalen Johnson. I did a video last week that got thousands of views on Jeremy Chinn. Supposedly the Eagles really want Jeremy Chinn. That's not a surprise. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Avonte Maddox. They're looking for a nickel corner. You saw, without Debo and CMC, that Purdy looks like he could use another weapon. There's no doubt in my mind. There's talk that the Broncos are shopping Jerry Jeudy. I saw a Bleacher Report article connecting the 49ers to Jerry Jeudy. I don't know if it was a rumor as much as just a guy suggesting it. So full disclosure on that. Then there's Randy Gregory made a nice impact today, and I think he's going to help with the rush. The Niners, John Lynch said he doesn't want Frank Clark for the most part. Sounds like Frank may go back to the Chiefs anyway. If John Lynch was coming on right now and we weren't on YouTube, we're just sitting around the room, and he said, "Hey, I want every single guy in this room to give me their input on who I should go after at the trade deadline." Danny, this is your category. Don't say Mike Trout. Let's go around the room here. Who should they target? I would say, if you said bet everything you have that the Niners will not make a trade or make a trade of substance, I would bet anything they will make a trade, because they understand who they are. They're in their Super Bowl window. There's urgency here, and they got a full complement of picks and draft capital and money. So I think they're absolutely going to move a pick, maybe a couple picks. I think they're going to make a trade or an addition. Zach Ertz, I think, would help them. A speed receiver, Rondale Moore, somebody like that would help them. DJ Reed, returning Jimmy Ward, Patrick Surtain. I said Jeremy Chinn. Some people are saying go for an edge rusher. Brian Burns.
If they go after Jeremy Chinn, who are they sitting? Larry, who are they putting? You're gonna sit Hufanga? You're gonna sit Gibson?
I just think you need more corner. I mean, here, look at it this way. The trade deadline's Halloween. You're still going to play all of November, all of December, and all of January before you ever get to Super Bowl Sunday. I like Jeremy Chinn because I want somebody that is big and physical who could potentially stay with Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl. I'm thinking matchups, and I'm also thinking keep away from the Eagles. I don't want to see the Eagles get a – I saw a trade today where somebody suggested that K'Wan Williams may get traded. That would be interesting. Somebody for like a late-round pick. There was another article on ESPN saying that maybe the Cowboys pick up James Conner from Arizona for like a 6th-round pick. I'd give a 6th-round pick right now for James Conner. I mean, I really like James Conner. So – if you could add one piece to the puzzle here, or one or two, I won't limit you to one. Who do you go after? You want another running back to help out because CMC's getting beaten up and he might not be standing at the end, and then you got to lean on J.P. Mason and Elijah Mitchell. Some people are saying they need another running back. We had a guy say Dalvin Cook. I don't know. I agree with you guys. I wouldn't go Dalvin Cook. But you lost Debo. Debo's been hurt a lot. Do you go for another receiver? Do you go for another edge rusher to add to Randy Gregory? Do you go for a corner? You go for I like Chinn because Chinn can help you at linebacker, nickel, or safety. And since you got 3 months of football left anyway, and you don't know where the injury is going to come from, and I'd rather go for a guy like that and have versatility. If Oliver goes down, I got a top tier nickel. If Greenlaw's hurt, I got another big time linebacker who can run. If Gibson or Tafanga get hurt, I got a safety. Also, I got a chance I can play a 3-safety look. I got the Travis Kelce neutralizer, and I'm keeping him from Philly. So there's all kinds of gamesmanship that goes into this. But what do you guys think? Lynch is going to scour for trades. Who should he be after? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I think, Mr. Trademan.
Danny, it should say underneath Danny's picture there that Danny has made a record number of fantasy trades. Yahoo is considering outlawing.
You should just say
any
trade
more
expert.
Trades. Trade expert Dan Cochimilio, and we'll flash his fantasy stats on there for you.
I got another one brewing here that I'll ready to pull the trigger on. Yeah.
Is that one that you proposed and forgot about, or is it one that?
No, it was proposed to me. I'm just kind of waiting to see how the day goes today. But,
all right.
I think they should. I think they need to not give up. Surtain would be great, but it's going to cost you one. You're going to need a left tackle next year, I think. So that's where you get your tackles in the first round. So I don't want them trading away their first round pick. I think somebody like a Danielle Hunter, an edge rusher on the Vikings, could really beef up the line even more. And, this is going to sound crazy, but their third receiver is Juwan Jennings. One thing they lack in their receiver is a quick guy that can burst and get yards. I think Mecole Hardman with the Jets is a guy that could be had. He's in the same pretty much offensive system now that he's with the Jets as the Niners. He would fit in seamlessly. He would give that Niner receiver, that guy that can quick get over the field, maybe go up, spread, take the long ball. I like Hardman. I loved him when he was with the Chiefs during their Super Bowl years. He was always open. And another guy like that, I think, gives – and just keep Ray at the as the punt returner. Get those extra speedy guys. You can never have enough speed, in my opinion.
I agree.
I love it, Dan. Dan stole a couple of my guys. And first off, it's Danielle Hunter. That's number one. I mean, this is an all-pro caliber defensive end. I wanted before the season started, I thought, hey, I want an edge rusher opposite Bosa. I wanted the Niners to go after Danielle Hunter. So I would absolutely keep the door open on him. And that's as well as Randy Gregory looked today. But I'm looking at Jerry Jeudy. Juwan, I like Juwan in the slot, but Jerry Jeudy, this is a different caliber of talent. Jerry Jeudy, the first round pick, top 15 draft pick. Better days are ahead for Jerry Jeudy. I know he's had a slow start with the Broncos. He's been dinged up. lackluster quarterback play. I still think Jerry Jeudy's a really good player. And if the Broncos are hell-bent on trading him, I'd give up a 3 for him. I'd consider giving up a 2. And then, Dan, Patrick Surtain, I would give up a 1. I would go and get Patrick Surtain. That is a blue-chip star cornerback. I mean, he would surpass Charvarius Ward as CB1. So give me that. He still has a couple years on that rookie deal of team control. So I'd give up a 1 for Surtain. I mean, this team, it's Super Bowl or bust. So I agree with Larry. I think this team is going to make a move. And then, like a Jalen Johnson, that is intriguing. Now, I'm not going to give up a 1st or a 2nd for Jalen Johnson, but, with the ability to kind of shift Demo to the slot and having Jalen opposite Charvarius Ward, I like that idea as well.
Yeah, I think that if you ask me what's the weakest point of this team, I'd say offensive line. But you can't really trade for any offensive lineman. Just it's such a lean position. And I mean, this might be just a basic answer, but I think Jalen Johnson or Surtain. I mean, I don't think Surtain. I don't know why the Broncos would trade Surtain. He's like the building block of that defense, in my opinion. But if they could get Jalen Johnson, I think the nickel on this is already on this team. I think Demo Lenore could play the nickel. And I think, he's a little undersized to be playing on the outside. I think if you have Jalen Johnson on the outside, Demo on the inside, that's the best you're going to get in the secondary. And I think that's probably the only place I could see them really adding anything. I don't think they're going to go back to the D line again. I think that just makes the most sense to me.
Oh, wow.
Rye, what do you think? Rye?
Jimmy G got injured. So, okay, these are the guys I'm thinking. So, Debo and McCaffrey, both of them being dinged. Debo kind of seems like a little bit of issues all season long. That scares me. And I was trying to think of who's another like running back that actually,
Josh Jacobs.
Well, I was going to say that can do some of the same stuff, is a really good receiver, not just a runner. I was thinking if the Patriots really bottom out, which is what it kind of seems like, I like the idea of Ramondre Stevenson. He's not doing anything for them, and he's a hell of a player. He's averaging 30 yards a game or something. They're just running him into the line, but I think he's a hell of a player, and he's a hell of a receiver too out of the backfield. Also, same team. I just always have been a proponent of they should get another tight end with Kittle, because I just hate how he's a lot of times he's in there to block the entire game, and they don't have that big middle of the field target. I don't think they would get Ertz just because of the interdivision thing. So I was thinking same team, Hunter Henry.
I was going to say Hunter Henry.
Maybe Gesicki.
Maybe Gesicki.
He's too soft. Gesicki's too soft for Kyle Shanahan.
He's a receiver.
I like Ertz because you got Warner to be the blocker. You can move.
But Dan, Ertz is a little washed, and he's also in division. Here's the other one that could be a possibility if things keep going weird, and he's already he's off to a weird start with the team. Darren Waller. I mean, could they want to get off that contract?
That's interesting.
Ooh, Waller and Kittle double tight end 12 formation. Ooh.
Be like it'd be a souped up version of what they wanted to do with Kittle and Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
I definitely would want. I mean, I like the idea that I threw up at Jeremy Chin, but I'd be open to there's a couple guys. One, I think that speed kills. Rondale Moore, I just think from Arizona, if you could get him, I just think that he would just be so good in this offense.
They got him in the backfield today.
Put him in the backfield, gadget plays. He's small. He's a home run hitter. Maybe you could get him for Danny Gray. Danny Gray's is fast and cheaper and younger. Maybe Arizona would go that route. Ertz, I agree with you. Rye's a little washed, but I would definitely be interested in Ertz. I don't think it would cost you a whole lot. K'Wan Williams might make sense as a slot that might be available and gettable. I definitely think another DB would be kind of nice.
DJ Reed might be available, huh?
DJ Reed would be very attractive. Here's one that keeps coming up, and I don't know what you guys think of this. This would be a big deal, but what do you think of Davante Adams?
Well, with Jimmy G getting injured here, if things take a turn with the Raiders season, you never know.
How much of a need do the Niners have at receiver? Like, there's people saying that they don't really believe in Judy because he's soft and this and that, but Davante,
I think they
he's
need
got a huge catch radius, and Purdy's pretty accurate, and that could take their offense to a totally different level. I'll give you one other name that I think is interesting. The Niners need to stop the run better. How about DJ Jones from Denver?
Bring him back.
DJ Jones, it's like he just absolutely. I mean, that to me, the one thing that was discouraging about today is how well the Browns ran the ball, and that bothers me. And I kind of wonder if good run teams like Philly are going to be able to run it. I'll give you one more name. I'm going to throw your guys' way. Robbie Gould.
See, playing
crazy.
Robbie Gould sitting at home on the couch. He's never missed ever in the playoffs. You know you're going to be in the playoffs. If you had Robbie Gould today, they would be boarding this plane 6-0.
I think
we all know that Robbie would have made that today.
Let me ask you this.
What would you have to do with Moody? He has to go out with like a phantom injury?
No, you have to put him on IR. You just put him on IR.
Let me ask you this.
Put him on IR. He's got a quad.
Nobody's ever
No,
done
I don't.
this.
Yes, you do. You have a quad. No, I don't. Yes, you do. You have a quad.
Nobody's ever done
and then all of a sudden he goes to the podium. I have a quad.
Yeah. Can you afford? I never seen it done, but can you afford to keep in some games 2 kickers on the 47?
No.
When you get into a 55. I mean, Robbie Gould can't kick for 50 yards anymore. So
Danny's suggestion
they're going
is
to platoon them. They're going to platoon them.
Danny says replace Shanahan with Boach.
I mean, you got Robbie Gould inside the 40 and from 50, 45 in, and then I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, like for the Falcons, like they should trade for Kirk Cousins and then just use Cousins on the road games.
I mean, really think about it though. You're going to be a playoff team. And I realize Jake Moody could be the future. And he's got a good leg. But do you want to – I mean, if it comes right down to it, who do you trust?
Yeah, I think that's the overreaction take this week, but I think that could definitely become true if they keep missing kicks because,
I don't think
it's a Super Bowl year.
They do anything before the bye. The next
How many more misses before you would come over to the Robbie Gould come on down lane?
I think less than you
One
think.
more game-winning kick.
One more? That's it? Yeah. One more?
One more game winner, and I'm calling up Robbie. Robbie, hey, man, the Bay Area, hey, we'll pay for your hotel, man.
Who was the Niner kicker that had struggles? Was it the kid from Doug Bryan one year?
Well, they won the Super Bowl with Doug Bryan, 94.
What year did they?
Mike Kofer?
There was a kicker. Was it Kofer? Somebody was missing field goals with Seifert, and they cut him. Can't try to remember who it was. Thought it
Ray
was
Wershing.
Well, do you think this is gonna?
But
what could be kind of interesting, and I mean, I don't think we're gonna see this in the regular season because they're just gonna try and get his confidence back, but could lead to a more aggressive Shanahan, maybe some more 2-point conversions. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. That's an extra point.
But maybe some more aggressive, like not going for field goals, going for TDs.
Yeah.
Inside the 4th and 3 at the 35 instead of trotting out for a 52-yard field goal. Maybe it's let's just keep driving for a touchdown.
I mean, that's the thing. Is he a front runner? Can he kick when the pressure's on? And that's something you can't really find out until they start doing it.
Well, sometimes you got to learn by failure too. I mean, maybe this situation sets him up for a future game-winning kick, and maybe he nails it.
It honestly feels like the one thing that like almost the fan, like I don't really think that the fan base can like control things, but I do feel like if the fan base all of a sudden is kind of poo-pooing Moody, that kind of seeps in, and all of a sudden it becomes a thing, and all of a sudden people are expecting it at the stadium. I remember just like with the Bears, with Mitch Trubisky that one year, and it was just, I just don't want it to become a thing.
I don't think the moment's too big. I think he had a bad, he messed up, he blew it. It happens. It's early in the season, week 6. Maybe Kyle put him out there figuring, you know what, I'm going to put the game in his hands. He makes it. Great experience. He misses it. That's good experience too. I don't know. Just I think he believed in him. I think that's a kick you got to make. But I think if it affects him, you'll know. You'll know if he gets the, what was that Dallas kicker last year that missed like 5 straight extra points? Who was that?
Mayer.
Yeah, Mayer. If he starts missing, they're gonna sit him down. They're gonna, they'll find a phantom injury, like Larry said.
And kicker's the one position, the psyche.
Yeah, exactly.
The psyche matters at the kicker position. So,
we'll see where
Niners fans, let's take it easy on Moody. Let's not beat up Moody too bad this week.
Right. Let's see where he comes. He'll see if he bounces back. I mean, I know kickers is a funny thing, man. It gets in your head, and you go out there with the mentality of like, I can't miss versus I'm going to put this right through. I speak from experience. I know.
And
by the way, welcome
now.
back to the Krug Show. Larry Krueger, Kevin Krueger, Rye Smith, Bay Area Baller, and Raphael Septien joining you after Niner football. Ephraim Herrera up there in the top box.
Jose Cortez.
If you don't recognize this guy up in the top corner.
From the Zendejas brothers.
We're really happy to have Sebastian Janikowski with us up top there as well. Carlos M. says, what's this game look like with Watson? Well, there's a lot of happier massage therapists in the greater Cleveland area, knowing that he's playing instead of out loose. No, Watson's completed like 55%. He's been a mystery this year. I don't know what to say about Watson at this point. He doesn't look like the same guy. We got this one from Paramajot Sandhu. He says, I'm a Browns fan. You guys have a great team, always have. At least you didn't witness an 0-16 season, LOL. Look at that. We don't need to be patted on the head by Browns fans.
No, I like that perspective, though, because Niners fans do have to understand, like I feel like it's like one loss, and like they don't have perspective. They don't have perspective. Like this is like we've been watching like one of the 5 like most entertaining teams for the last 6 years or whatever.
Yeah, seriously.
Sometimes a loss is good for you.
One more super chat here, and then we'll mention the sponsors here. 808 Niners says, no Dre Greenlaw was big, but the D-line just rushes too far up the field, leaving big holes, and all the Browns did was run traps and whams. That's the one thing. It's like, I agree with you guys. I'd love Danielle Hunter. I'd love Brian Burns. But the way teams are negating explosive rush these days, it's like, I almost feel like you can have too much money on your D-line and not enough money on your there's an awful the Niners are screwed if they lose Greenlaw and Warner. Today they went without Greenlaw. If they had to go without Greenlaw and Warner, they would be really diminished. So maybe the need is more at as another linebacker, or maybe the need's another corner. But it is weird. It's like we've seen the D-line neutralized, incredible D-lines neutralized. The Niners themselves neutralized Dallas's incredible D-line last week on Sunday Night Football. They didn't barely have any impact at all, and they have a wicked D-line. So it's like it's a little situational. If you get the ball out fast, if you chip the edge rushers, you can neutralize a great pass rush. I just think you need overall. You need playmakers on all 3 levels. You need a really good scheme, and you got to swarm to the ball. But I mean, I really didn't like. I'm worried about the Niners having to play meaningful games in December, January, or in the Super Bowl without Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner, because those guys they're on a totally different level. All right, let's mention our sponsors. Bottom of the screen there, MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. You shatter a windshield, they'll come out and replace it for you. MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. We're also brought to you by New York-style Italian sausage. The only kind of sausage I will eat is New York-style Italian sausage. And, guys, as we are mentioning New York-style Italian sausage, this is our first edition of the postgame where New York-style Italian sausage player of the game is discussed. So why don't we, before we mention any other sponsors, give me your Niner player of the game. It was a loss, but give me your Niner player of the game brought to you by New York-style Italian sausage.
Give me Fred Warner. Picks in back-to-back games, just an absolute monster, did everything he could with Greenlaw being out. And ultimately, I think it was just, it wasn't, I'm not even putting like the Browns crazy rushing numbers on the defense as much as like they had the ball for 6 minutes longer than the Niners today. The time of position was completely skewed to what it normally is. I think the defense just, you just let up runs after just a million runs into the line. So yeah, I'm taking Fred Warner.
That's who I was going to take, but now I'll take Deommodore Lenoir with the pick. They didn't call his name out too much on balls caught. I thought he was locking down his side of the field and got the pick. So I'm going with Lenoir.
Kev, I love how Ryan mentioned Fred Warner. I'm going to go a different way, but real quick on Fred Warner, he's a 5-tool linebacker. A lot of times you hear the 5-tool reference to baseball players, but he can hit downhill. He's sideline to sideline. He's the best coverage linebacker I've ever seen. You can blitz him. He forces turnovers. So the answer is Fred Warner, but I'm going to go a different route just to be different. And I'm going to welcome Randy Gregory into the fold. I think Randy Gregory was exceptional today. He had a sack. I liked his just the tenacity that he played with. Yeah, he was physical. And Gregory was bigger than I remembered. He's a big dude out there. So I thought Randy, he might be the best defensive end opposite Bosa since D Ford was healthy. I mean, would you guys, was Ebukam better than him or Charles Omenihu? Like, I'm really excited about physique. This Randy.
He's got a physique like Aldon Smith. He looks just so lanky and he's quick. So
I'll go with Randy Gregory. I thought he definitely limited snaps, but I thought his impact
good pick
jumped out.
I'm going to go with Lamont Wade Jr.
Good pick, Dave.
So Danny went with Lenoir. Baller went with Gregory. Rye, you went with Warner. Kev?
I'm going to go Jordan Mason. I think in the game where there was a lot of letdown, I think he's the bright spot. I think he's the bright
Smoothie.
Spot. He had over five yards of carry. He looked good. Touchdown. I mean, he's a physical runner. I think even from like the first preseason game, I was like, damn, this guy's good. I like him more than TDP. I think I like him more than Elijah Mitchell right now. I think this guy's legit. And him behind McCaffrey that's a bad pairing.
I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings. I think Jennings is a stud, man. Every single time the Niners got to have it. This guy is the guy who steps up. He stays healthy. He plays hurt. He's out there doing it. Only 2 catches for 26 yards. But how about when he buried Denzel Ward on that block and he just drove him into the ground and just pile drived him into the turf? Jennings is a bad, bad man. I asked somebody in the locker room, I think it was George Odom, I said, if you're in a brawl and you can have any 3 guys on this team rolling up, supporting you, who you going with? And he went with Dre Greenlaw and Javon Kinlaw, and then he looked around the room and he said, and Juwan. He goes, Juwan would roll up and support. So Juwan is he's a fighter, man. That's what he is. He's a fighter. And they only targeted him 4 times, but it was Juwan who drew that key PI call that got that key first down. Wait a second. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is such an underrated player, and he's just so freaking tough, and he just makes play after play after play. So there you go. Juwan Jennings, Jordan Mason for Kev, Fred Warner for Rye, Danny went with Demo Lenoir, Randy Gregory for Bay Area Baller, our New York Style Player of the Game, brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage, the best Italian sausage, the only Italian sausage that I will eat. We're also brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera, title sponsor of the Krug Show. They're open 7 days a week in Emeryville and Corte Madera from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get the brisket. I love the brisket, but it's all good. Get the brisket or the brisket chili. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. And we are also brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. Mojo Fantasy, the newest and best daily fantasy app. You get a full selection of real sportsbook player props with live odds, including props you won't find anywhere else. You can ride with your picks and cash out, or make new picks all game long. And the best part, you don't have to get all the picks right to win. Try a free contest, win cash prizes up to 25 times your money. You make picks, you make moves, you make money. Use that link in the description and use that promo code KRUEG, KRUEG, to get your first deposit match for up to $100. And we should tell you that my picks this week for this game, I took Jerome Ford to be under 38.5 rush yards. So that did not happen. He went over. I took George Kittle over 40.5 receiving yards. That didn't happen. I took Christian McCaffrey over 77.5 rushing yards. That didn't happen. I took Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Wait a second. That didn't happen. And I took Brock Purdy over 228.5 passing yards. That didn't happen. This is an amazing thing. Larry Krueger was dead wrong on all 5 of my picks. So just look at it this way. If you see my picks, you could go the other way, because that's how I'm rolling right now. But thanks to Mojo Fantasy for being one of the sponsors of the Krug Show. Quick hit of the supers here. Frank Tom Ocean, A.J. Dillon would be a good depth running back ad if available from Green Bay. I can't see Green Bay giving him to the Niners. They just hate the Niners.
I'd rather just see Mason play.
I agree. Dazza says, is it worth getting a running back we don't use on our own now? Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, they're not going to use Mason. They're probably not going to use a James Conner or anybody else. We got this one from Wesley Brooks. I don't trust the kicker. Where's Robbie Gould? I was at the Browns. Purdy just looked like he had a hard time seeing over the line. Definitely give a number 1 for Patrick Surtain. Moody scares me like Kyle Williams in 2011. Oh, God. Now we're really getting scared. Do you guys remember Kyle Williams and that fateful day at Candlestick?
God.
3 fumbles. 3 fumbles. The hat trick, Dazza. If the ball is slippery for a passer, wouldn't it be the same for a kicker?
Oh, I like that. That's a good zag.
Look at that. That's Jake Moody's burner. Mark Failer says, something tells me Grant Cohn's going to see some subscribers return to his channel this week. Wish he was at the post-game presser. Grant does thrive in the midst of losses and negativity for sure. Guys, where do the Niners? What is? Let's fast forward to tomorrow, because there will be an awful lot of discussion about this tomorrow. People love talking about the Niners on Monday, but they really love talking about the Niners on Monday when they lose. Who is going to be the main topic of conversation on Monday? By the way, Reconciled Man says Suzanne Summers. I think R.I.P. Suzanne Summers.
She passed.
I think she passed today. She was a
too bad
beautiful woman. I loved Three's
Company. Yeah.
She was married to the Alpha Beta guy. Remember?
Yeah, Alpha Beta guy. Exactly. I'm trying.
Alan something.
Alan Lawson or something? Or what was his name? No, not Lawson.
Tell a friend.
London. Alan London or something?
No.
What's his
Alan something.
I remember.
Simpson? Alan Simpson? I forgot.
No, anyway, I think the story tomorrow is nationally.
Yeah, what's the national story tomorrow? What's the main topic?
It's going to be about Purdy.
Purdy can't do it. Purdy ain't good enough. See, I told you, Purdy is not this and that.
Yeah,
Purdy.
About Purdy. Locally, it'll be a little Purdy, but a lot of Moody. It's just, yeah, that's where I see it going.
National media, Joey Nichols, national media will rip Purdy.
I mean,
Hector says Purdy will be the main topic. Really?
I don't know. I think so. I mean,
100%.
I don't really, I don't really think he had a great game, Dad. I don't think he had a good game at all.
Kev, nobody said he had a great game.
But I'm saying, like, he didn't do anything to
So what is this? Nobody. I don't think he had a great game. Who said he had a great game?
But some people were saying
he had a bad game.
The problem is that the media does what the media does best. They blow him all week in the national media, start talking about him as top 5. Michael Irvin says he'll take him over Herbert. And then all of a sudden he comes back to earth. And now it's going to be, see, Purdy finally with no weapons. The ball was in his hands. He had a chance to win the game. No Debo. No,
but he did get it down the field and put him in position to win.
But like no Debo, no CMC. See, like if you put him in just an average situation without a million playmakers, then he can't get it done. Blah blah blah.
What sucks though, Moody makes that kick. That's a game-winning drive for Purdy in the fourth quarter with less than 2 minutes.
Right. I mean, in reality, the guy led him on the game-winning drive, and the kicker gacked the kick.
Yeah, facts. Also, I just want to give a shot of reality to everyone. Just if anyone's freaking out after this law. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, so last year they made it to the NFC Championship game. They started 4-4. The year before that, they made it to the NFC Championship game. They started 3-5. The Niners are now 5-1. So, shot of reality.
I think 2019 they were 8-0. Like
that is facts.
There it is right there, guys. Relax.
49er Fever says Moody sucks. So it's going to be all about Purdy, though, huh? It's not going to be Kyle got conservative at the end. It's not going to be Moody gacked the kick. It's not going to be Kyle got conservative at the end. It's not going to be Ayuk had 4 drops. It's not going to be the horrible officiating that literally handed a first down on what would have been 4th and 10 to the Browns on the key final drive. It's not going to be Kittle was AWOL. It's not going to be the Browns had the number 1 defense and Schwartz has Shanahan's number. It's not going to be the injuries with CMC and Debo and Greenlaw and Trent. It's all going to be Purdy wasn't good enough. Despite the fact that he completed, 3 passes on the last drive to get them in field goal range, and the kicker missed the field goal.
Yeah,
really, we're gonna react to the outcome on that level. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, he had a below average game. I'm serious.
That's the game. That's the way.
Wow.
It's the way the media works.
He's a quarterback.
Interception. Miss McCaffrey on the wheel route. He threw behind receivers more often than we're accustomed to. I agree. It's going to be about Purdy. You're going to get a lot of "I told you so" from Nick Wright and some of these talking heads.
Oh, they're already gloating. Yeah. Some of those guys. You know what? Kyle would be great is if he dialed up a game plan for 4 or 5 passing TDs next Monday night, national TV against Minnesota, and just shut everybody up and put up 40 plus next Monday night.
Eddie's dropping F-bombs. He says, for y'all that Kittle has been awful all season, you're effing insane. What's he supposed to do when they don't use him and Purdy clearly can't see him? Now we're blaming Brock because Kittle wasn't a factor. I don't know.
Ooh,
I guess it's one of those deals where the
everything
quarterback gets
the
credit and the quarterback takes the blame.
It's the media is relentlessly just so screwed up because it's gonna it goes too far to the right one side, then too far to the left. No balance. It's like this is his first loss, and the kicker missed a 41-yard field goal as time basically expired. So.
This was his test, and he completed 44% of his passes.
Would you be saying the same thing if Moody makes the kick?
Yeah, he wasn't a good.
You'd be saying he won in his.
It wouldn't
be
as loud. It would still be the same.
He still completed 44% of his passes.
Everything would be the same as far as the talk would be. Hey, Purdy is not this, but he got him down and they won the game. But
why one game on the road in the rain against the number 1 defense in the league, he completes 44% of his passes. So that now is more important than 2 weeks ago he completed 95% of his passes.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that he's bad now. I just said he had a bad game.
This is what the media
game or an average.
Yeah, this is what the narrative is going to be. This is what the narrative is going to be. Told you he's a part of the system. He didn't have his weapons in CMC and Debo, and he looked like an ordinary quarterback.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's going to be. But also there's so much confirmation bias. All of these hyenas have just been waiting this whole time to get some evidence on their side so that they can then reinforce it. And it's been noted, all of you 49er media that said you were pro Purdy, and all of a sudden, some tweets about the wet balls, some tweets.
Miserable Patel says Purdy did suck.
He did suck.
Wow.
For his standards.
Miserable Patel doing what miserable Patel does. Wow.
I mean, what would you say, Dad? What would you say? How would you rate this game? You think it was above
I
average?
already told you. I already told you what I fucking said. I said that it was no Dre Greenlaw. They couldn't stop the run. The Browns had the number one defense. He was subpar, but he was subpar for reasons. I mean, he was subpar because he was going against the number one defense in the rain. And that, but you're going to blame him. I'm going to blame the situation. I haven't lost any confidence in the kid. I think the kid's really, really good.
I mean, I just said he had a bad game, and you said he had a bad game. That's the same thing.
But you're saying he had a bad game because of him. I'm saying he had a bad game because of the Browns defense, the pressure he was under. He has no Debo. It's raining. Ayuk dropped 4 balls. I thought, and they still could have won, and he still. They were crediting him at halftime with not turning the ball over. They're like, hey, Brock Purdy under all this rush. And they went back to the studio, and they're like talking about the first half. They're like, you know what? He didn't turn it over. So now, really, at the end of the day, he had 1 turnover in this game. We see quarterbacks who have 3, 4 turnovers. But the guy had 1 turnover against the number one defense on the road.
Turnover battle.
And suddenly
lost.
It's all on him. When ultimately he led this team down the field for the game-winning field goal, and his field goal kicker missed it.
I will say, I think some people, not me, but some playing the role of some people, if they wanted to get in an argument about that, would say, like, okay, so you're blaming the system and like the poor performance around him for why he poor today. So in that case, do you mean that when he plays good, you're saying that it's because of the good around him? The good system?
I'm just saying that, it's easy to put it all on Purdy's lap when in reality you're going against the number one defense. You don't have, and it's wet, and you're on the road, and you don't have your weapons, and your left tackle goes down, and your defense can't stop the run. There was a lot of factors of why they lost this game. There was he played poorly, but he did enough to win the game, and they lost. And why did they lose? They lost because of horrible call against Tayshaun Gibson, horrible call against Mooney Ward, and I thought Shanahan has to deserve a lot of blame because I think Shanahan got way too conservative on the final drive. I mean, Brock Purdy, you're not going to play your A game every week, and this on paper was easily going to be a big challenge. Every game's not going to be a masterpiece. The whole question is, does your starting quarterback take care of the ball and put you in position to win games? And he did that today. He only had 1 turnover. They were +1 in turnovers on the day. They were in position to win the game in the fourth quarter. That's all I ask of my starting quarterback. Other than that, it's a team game. And I just think that it's just wrong to drop it on him when there were, why is this not about the officials? Why is this not about Brandon Ayuk having 4 drops on a game where he needed to step up? Why is this not about George Kittle not doing anything? Why is this not about the defense not being able to stop the run without Dre Greenlaw?
I think it's because like the argument has become like Brock's been so good that the argument has been like Brock is just good in his own right. Like they're winning as a big result of just Brock being good. Yeah, and a lot of people that are negative towards Brock say, yeah, Brock's been good, but Brock's only been good because everything's been perfect around him. And then this is like the one game when things weren't good around him and he had to face some drops and all that stuff. But end of the day, who really gives a shit? Brock's a great quarterback. Move on.
Very disappointed in Kev today. Very disappointed.
I mean, I just don't think he played well, and he didn't play well, and we agree. I mean,
he didn't play well, but I'm not blaming. You're blaming him for the loss. I'm not blaming him for the loss. I'm
saying, despite everything that went wrong, you can list a bunch of things: the official, the weather. Like they were still in a position to win the game, which is the best you could say about today. Is that even despite all the things that went wrong for them, they still were in a position to win the game. But I still don't think Brock Purdy played as good as we've seen him play in the past. I thought he had a bad game.
Yes, he did. He had, but he
I'm
had
not
a bad
saying he's
game
the only
on the
reason. There's a
road
lot of
against the
things.
number. There's
Yeah, I know.
reasons that he had a bad game. I expected him to have a bad game. You didn't? I did. He's going against the number one defense on the road. In a week where the Niners were going to be flat, and then he didn't have his weapons, and then his left tackle went down. So I don't know. I mean,
He's definitely one of the reasons they lost. One of them. I think so. I really do.
You think another quarterback would have played better?
Sure.
In these conditions.
I mean, sure. I honestly just think he was one of the reasons. You could probably list like 5 to 6 reasons why the Niners didn't play as great today, and I think Purdy's one of them. It's my opinion.
I only thought he really missed like 3 or 4 passes. I mean, he had the one pick. I wouldn't put this one on Purdy. I'd put this one on the 49ers. I'd put this on the head coach. I'd put this one on Jake Moody. I'd put this one on the refs. I'd put this one on the run defense. I'd put this one on Brandon Ayuk before I'd put it on Purdy. I'm not saying Purdy was good. Believe me, I know. I watched the game too. I saw that he wasn't great. But to me, he's like the 4th or 5th reason they didn't win this game, not the first.
I think they could have had a little bit more play calling where there was a little bit more play action where Purdy was able to get out away from the pocket. It seems like he was not as quick today, eluding guys when he did get out of the pocket. It looked like there was times there could have been plays set up for him to run, 6-8 yards, just get down. I think Kyle could have put him out of the pocket a little bit more, which would have forced Cleveland to they were putting pressure on him all day. And it was like he was throwing off his back foot. He was throwing quicker than he wanted to. It's why his passes were just off the mark. The fact that Cleveland was just crashing in, I would have tried to get some plays on the outside more, whether it would be Purdy or reverses, something to do to slow Cleveland's pass rush down. A few more screens. I know that when they took CMC out, their run game was non-existent today. They could not run. Every time they seemed to run, with the exception of a few plays, the first drive and then the 8-yard when they got the Lenore interception, they got the run to Mason, but they didn't have very many big runs. Cleveland stuffed them. What was their total yards today on the ground? Less than like 100,
108.
Right? Was it 108? So
4.3 a carry though.
Yeah, it just it just seemed like that. I don't know. Brock just didn't. I don't know if it was slippery and he couldn't elude. He usually gets away from those pass rushers and breaks away. Today, even that one they almost called grounding, but his knee went down. He couldn't. That's a play he normally gets away from, and it's probably just because it was slippery. But I saw Walker getting out of the pocket a lot more, and he's quicker than Purdy. That's where I think his game is going to suffer, is if the interior puts a big rush on up the middle and he can't elude and get away. I think that's where he gets hurt, because it's hard for him to see. I mean, he was flinging balls like quick today. I mean, he was just like, and that's why the passes were just off, because he didn't have time to really stay in the pocket and throw it. He looked like he was rushing his passes. And
well, Dan, so many of those are timing based. Like when you watch like the Baldy breakdowns, It's like it literally is just in lockstep with like,
he didn't have the time. So I put more. You want to talk about blame. I don't know if anybody mentioned the offensive line, but the offensive line did not hold up well today, and that was with Kittle staying in for extra protection. They were putting a lot of pressure on Purdy. You usually see him with a lot more time back there, and he just picks apart the secondary because he could go through his reads and find the open guy. He didn't have that time today. And so I would put the offensive line as one of those top 5 reasons today. I think they really didn't protect him well at all.
Yeah, well, the offensive line was challenged. Yeah,
Larry, can I kind of bust your chops a little bit, and as well as give you some gambling advice in the meantime? You said you said you expected Purdy to have a bad game today, right?
I did. That's why I did.
In that case,
I did the teaser on the Niners. I teased the Niners down to 2.
You got to take the under on these Purdy bets. If you're expecting him to have a bad game, take the under on the yardage. Take the under on the 1.5 touchdowns.
Yeah, but you
made it early in the week.
I made it early in the week. Yeah, I made that early in the week.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So.
Hey, fellas, one thing I wanted to bring up we didn't talk about is, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I did. I thought there was a lot of half-field reads today where Kyle was rolling out Purdy to the right away from Myles Garrett. And I don't like the half-field reads because you're not making a full progression. Did you guys see a lot of Purdy rolling right on like designed rollouts? Because I did.
Saw a few.
I think
thought it was more than usual. I thought they were intentionally rolling away from Garrett.
Yeah, they did seem like they were limited in like they weren't making the Browns defend the entire field on every play. I mean, it seemed like they were like, you know, I mean, I'd have to go watch the all 22 and really break it down.
Don't you think he could have made some of those, just taken a quick run for 5 to 7 yards and got down on some of those, Pollard, instead of?
That's not his game, though. Purdy uses his mobility to kind of extend the play and throw it downfield. He's a playmaker. You know, his first inclination isn't, okay, break the pocket and gain positive yards with his legs. He breaks the pocket and he's looking to throw it downfield.
How about that one play where they what's drawing a blank again, the punt returner, what's it,
McLeod?
Ray
McLeod, and when he ran into Trent Williams and then they threw the ball.
Well, they also got a delay game penalty. They couldn't get lined up right. They were not sharp today. I mean, let's be honest. They were not sharp in any phase.
What the heck was going on there? I mean, it was like that ball could have been possibly picked and run in for a pick six if it was up higher, because he just threw it right into the ground. The play was just completely botched from the beginning. But they just, like you said, they just looked sloppy. And I think a lot of it had to do with Debo going out. I really think McLeod was not fully prepared to run some of the offense today because he seemed a little confused on a few plays. Like, you know, where am I going? Play clock ran down to, close to 0 on several calls. They just didn't seem in sync whatsoever. The first drive was great. First drive, they did what they've done all season long, took it down, scored, and then the offense was non-existent the entire game after that.
Well, it's the NFL. You got 17 weeks, right? Of those 17 weeks, you're going to get your A effort maybe 5-6 times. You're going to get a B or C effort 5 or 6 times. And then there's going to be, your C to D effort, and hopefully you don't have any F efforts where you just totally no-show. But I think some of the bad teams in the league actually do have that. So this was going to be, on paper, this was the week after the Dallas game. They've got some big games coming up. They got the Eagles later in the year. They weren't necessarily fired up for the Browns' third-string quarterback, and they got the number 1 defense that was, that got the game on their terms. You mix in some injuries, you mix in some missed kicks, you mix in a wet football, you mix in some untimely penalties and a couple of really bad calls that went against them, and you get what you get, which is a 2-point loss on the road to a team that some people think, where I just bet them to go to the Super Bowl. So, it is what it is. It was enough adversity today that it all added up to a loss. Couple more supers here. We got this one from Titus Moeller. Why do you think Kyle doesn't run more running backs? I just think that, he's got a lot of confidence in CMC. He's got a little bit of confidence in Elijah Mitchell, and I don't think he's got hardly any confidence in anybody else. Don't Titus says, what's the chief factors behind Purdy's bad game? Good defense, wet football, lack of weapons, a lot of pressure. I mean, it's a team game. You can't do this all by yourself. He doesn't have his weapons. I mean, I'm not making excuses for him, and this is what happened today. His D-line, the D-line he was going up against was great. The defensive backfield, the number one pass D in pro football. I thought the game plan was shitty. I mean, to be totally honest, you're going up against the number one pass defense in the league. You should have had quite a few more runs than passes in a game that was close. The game was close, and you had more passes than runs. So I didn't like the game plan, especially after CMC went down. It's like, hey, you know what? Just run power. Run your power back who's fresh. Brock was not sharp, but I thought there were reasons for that. Let me throw this one out. Fish and Chips, 40 years since a Cleveland win. Next time, right? Hicks became a YouTube member. Hicks, welcome aboard, brother. Good to see you. WTM says lost confidence in Moody, though he's Justin Tucker. Yeah, I don't know if he's Justin Tucker. I wonder how many people will. It doesn't take a lot for the public to lose confidence in the kicker.
Remember McPherson, Evan McPherson, the Bengals kicker, that year when they made the Super Bowl run? He had a few games where he was missing extra points, missing game-winning field goals, and then he just really got it together, and he was a rookie kicker as well. Positive spin.
It's all mental.
Another super here from Fish and Chips. Why are play callers not criticized today? Today is the day. Yeah, I mean, I just did. I mean, I didn't like the game plan at all. As far as the actual play calls, I'd have to go dig a little deeper, but and look at what what actually was called. I haven't gone into that level of review yet. But Vish pissed off Brother Bob says I joined because I don't see DB or JP Gold now. What is this? What's that? What's
Gould.
that Gold?
Gould.
No,
Robbie
Gould, like Robbie Gould.
What's that? What's that little emoji?
Like call him.
Oh,
now.
call him.
Oh, I got you. We got this one from Vish pissed off Brother Bob. I joined because I don't see. Okay, we got that one. We got this one. Purdy's pimp. You said it would be a blowout. I did too. Pissed. Yeah, I thought it would. Early in the week, I was thinking blowout, but then I didn't think it was. When I said blowout, I was looking at weather conditions that said it was going to be dry. In the rain, and then once there was no Greenlaw, I mean, the Greenlaw thing affects the Niners' run D. If you can't stop the run, it's a totally different deal against the Browns.
Eagles are in a close one with the Jets. Don't
14-12.
Well, yeah, that was the next thing I was going to say to you guys.
The Jets in that one.
Vish, Brother Bob says, safe to say CMC is the engine and MVP of our offense. I don't know about that. We got this one from Brother Bob. Kevin, good to see the best Kruger again.
Yes.
Look at that.
System.
Brother
System
Bob.
child.
Yeah, he's a system child. He's a product of the system. Anybody, I could plug in anybody here. I got other boys in the house. If he can't go, I got other guys sitting right over here that could do it. Are you kidding me? I got like 3 other guys over here.
I have running back value.
You guys get out of here. I'm subbing him in. Oh, wait a second. Look at this. One sub away from 26,000. Is that true?
I think you already hit it now.
We already hit it? We went from 25,000 to 26,000 in 1 week. That is the greatest week in the channel's history. All right. One more here. Bay Area Baller from Fish and Chips. Bay Area Baller of the with end Alec Iomino. Oh, he's talking about the Stanford receiver.
Oh, number 13.
Oh my God.
Looks like T.O. Did you see that guy against Colorado?
Did you see the catch? He took it off Hunter's helmet. Just pulled it right back.
That was a crazy game.
Who knew Stanford could do it? All right, guys, let's go around the league. What surprised you around the league today? Let me just update you on what happened, and then you guys jump in. Ravens won in London. 24-16 over the Titans. Commanders beat the Falcons 24-16, 300 yards passing for Desmond Ridder. Vikings went to Soldier and beat the Bears 19-13. Justin Fields got knocked out in that game. Bengals ousted the Seahawks in Cincy 17-13 to get back to 500. A lot of people think the Bengals are a Super Bowl contender. Dolphins trailed 14-0 to the Panthers and then came back and smoked them 42-21. Raheem Mostert had 2 touchdowns in that game. 3? Jags, he had 2 on the ground. Jaguars 37-20 at home over the Colts. Gardner Minshew threw for 329 in the loss in that one. Texans, break up the Texans. They were one of my surprise teams. I had Texans in Denver, so I went 1 for 2. Texans are 3-3. They beat the Saints 20-13. Wait. Hold on. Get this thing on ESPN's. There we go. Shut that up for a second. Chiefs started the week Thursday night with a 19-8 win over the Broncos. Cowboys and Chargers go tomorrow night at SoFi. Steelers and Packers bye week. And tonight, Bills and Giants in the chase and get back even game if you lost betting today. Bills are 15.5-point favorites over the G-men. And then the afternoon games, Lions, guys, are looking great. They're going to roll to 5-1. They're up 20-6 with the fourth quarter just about to start in Tampa. Eagles are 14-12 at the end of the third quarter against the Jets. Rams are beating the Cardinals 16-9. Raiders are beating the Patriots 19-17. Man, we may be seeing the end of Bill Belichick in New England. They're going to drop to 1-5 potentially if they lose that game. What's your guys' big takeaway? I mean, the surprise of the day, I guess, would have to be Eagles barely getting by the Jets. Eagles were leading 7-0 early in that game, but the Jets came back. Jalen Hurts has thrown a pick.
What?
Yeah, a pick.
Oh, get rid of him. Run him out of town.
He's awful. He threw a pick. What else has happened in that game? Looks like Eagles have 3 sacks. Jets have a sack and 3 hits on the quarterback. What stands out to you guys today around week 6?
I'll say this. I nothing really surprised me other than the Niners losing so far. I took the Jets in an upset. The rest of the games have gone pretty much like I thought they would. In a nothing burger game, I took Atlanta over Washington. That's the one glaring thing I missed. But the rest of them are nothing really surprised me. I guess just seeing the Niners go down to Cleveland. I really didn't expect them to lose with Watson being out of the game and PJ.
Well, you know what, Dan? Let's talk about that game. No, I'm kidding. All right.
But that's really it for me. This as far as a real surprise. I'll be interested to see the final quarter of that Jets Phillies Eagles game, and but probably the biggest surprise today is Alyssa Nakken was interviewed for the manager's position for the Giants, and the clown show continues. Okay, that's all I got to say.
There you go. Maybe she'll get the gig.
All right, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to say the biggest surprise for me personally was the Jags just beating the hell out of the Colts. This was just an all-time bad spot for the Jags. They were in London for 2 weeks, got acclimated. I thought it was a little bit of a faulty W versus the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen, the reports came out that he didn't even sleep on the plane ride over, and the Jags had 2 weeks to be there and just had a lot of nonsense going. I was like, you know what? Jags are coming off 2 weeks in London. They're coming back home, and then they have a Thursday night game. So just an all-time bad spot of bad spots. And I was like, the Colts, now they've got Minshew. Minshew's got a week of practice where he knows he's the starter. Give me the Colts to win this game outright. And the Jags just handled business. They beat the hell out of them. Minshew looked terrible. I don't know if there's something about the Colts uniform when you're a Colts quarterback, but aside from Anthony Richardson, Minshew's arm now looks exactly the same as old Phillip Rivers when he was there for 1 year and for old Matt Ryan. It's weird. It looks like I don't want to say this, but it is just a descriptive term. It does look like someone maybe would say he throws a little bit like a girl, or like I was using my left hand. or something like that. It looks bad. He's not pushing the ball down the field. He's inaccurate.
You got something against Alyssa Nacken?
No, hey, okay, I'll end it there. I shouldn't have said anything. But anyway, I'm impressed by the Jags. You know what? They're legit. And with the Niners, you look ahead at their schedule. I believe they play at Jacksonville after Minnesota.
After the bye.
After the bye. So yeah, I mean that's a real game.
I like Jacksonville. They got weapons at every, like the Niners. I mean,
they do, and their defense.
They've got Ridley. They've got Kirk. They've got
their defense was
Zay
the big
Jones,
thing I had a question mark about, and their defense has been showing up. Other than that, Bengals took care of business versus the Seahawks. That's pretty. I mean, that's just, they're starting to get rolling. And then, damn man, the Lions. I hammered them -3 because Vegas still hasn't quite adjusted them enough. They are a top 4 team in the NFC, and they are just beating the hell out of the Bucs now. It was -3, and they're just taking care of business, which is exactly what a really great team should do on the road. Goff is historically not great on the road, and they're still taking care of business. Defense looks great. So
undefeated on the road so far this year. Kev, brother Bob says, Kevin, talk more. Your opinions are way better than your old man.
Thanks. I was just thinking about this when we were all talking. My biggest takeaway is probably the overall trend between the two teams that I'd say the 49ers are, what are they? I would say like their biggest rivals in winning the Super Bowl, the Chiefs and the Eagles, both look pretty mid this week, at least offensively, pretty mid. And as I was looking at that, I'm pretty sure Hurts just threw another pick. So, yeah.
Another pick?
Yeah.
Well,
so, I mean,
maybe get rid of him.
Those offenses look a little bit more human.
Maybe he needs to go. Maybe
I want to.
Maybe it's time for Tanner McKee. Maybe it's time for Tanner McKee. Go ahead, Baller.
My biggest surprise outside of the Niners dropping this one, I'm looking at DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. I mean, this team is 3-3. They pulled out another win today. CJ Stroud has surpassed my expectations for his rookie year. I mean, that Texans defense, not a lot of talent, outside Will Anderson, but hey, DeMeco, they hold the Saints to 13 points. Biggest surprise, the Houston Texans are 3-3, and DeMeco's got these guys playing ball.
I picked them today over New Orleans. I thought they would win. Dan. I thought they'd win at home.
Let's give a little golf clap for Dan. He picked something.
Thank you.
It's a man who just ripped Alyssa Nacken. That's not right. Sac State, by the way. Okay, a couple super chats, and then we're going to welcome JD to the mix. Brother Bob, who's him and Kev need to get a room at this point. He says, in the rain, not a monsoon, didn't rain in the second half. Trey Lance fans would have called that a monsoon. Let's see. Here we got this one. Brother Bob, Kevin doesn't like that old man say you're a system son.
Okay.
He's not a system son. He's a good kid. He needs work, but he's a good kid. Brother Bob, Purdy's pimp will be 100% Brock Purdy. Looked like buns today. Buns? Hope he rebounds.
He's unloading the clip today.
Look at that. Brother Bob. He's going with the pissed off Brother Bob. Titus Moeller. Larry, would you say Kevin's bad day today is because he's a system son, or would it just be that he's going up against a great defense, a great defensive Purdy?
Exactly. That's good.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I can rip Kevin. You guys just can't. Here we go. And then we got this one. Pissed off Brother Bob. Titus, Kevin doesn't have bad days. He's the real deal. All right. And then Titus comes back with, I agree, the Krug Show has no bad days. Thank you. Thank you, Titus. Good to hear from all you guys. We welcome in John Dickinson, who just is on the heels of appearing on the 95.7 The Game post-game show, similar to this show, except maybe a little smaller. Now, JD, what's going on? How's things going? What'd you think of the performance? Who's to blame? Damn it!
Yeah, a lot of blame to go around for the 49ers. Some missed opportunities, I thought, in the first half and this game. And I am at Cleveland Browns Stadium here in Cleveland.
Your boots on the ground.
Oh, yeah. I just thought I would throw that in. Yeah, just got done off from doing a little writing and doing a bunch of different stuff and being in the locker room and all that. But it was a colder day, California cold, right? 50 degrees, a little wet. Didn't rain a lot, but it rained at different points in the game a little bit. There was wet football for some of it. Again, these are not excuses, just kind of setting the tone for the day. And, I said it to you guys last Sunday night. I thought this game had the potential to be a tough game for the 49ers going up against the Browns defense, let down off of the emotional Cowboys blowout victory. Not that they overlooked them really in any way. I mean, they came out and they did what they've done all year long, which is score a touchdown and get ahead. And I thought this game was going to be closer than people thought. I didn't think that with PJ Walker at quarterback that the Browns would actually be able to win it, but it was sort of a perfect storm of things where some missed opportunities, a lot of penalties. I thought the Browns matched the 49ers' physicality. The Browns were able to run the ball on them, and they just kind of hung around in the game. I thought if the Niners could have, added another touchdown in the first half, once they jumped out to the lead, maybe they could have played the game from a more significant position of advantage. And then once they couldn't, as the game progressively went on, the Browns defense took it over. The 49ers offense struggled. 49er players were getting knocked out of the game. And the Browns, I thought, gained some confidence as the first half went on and the second half began that they could actually win the game to the point where when Walker throws the interception and the 49ers take the lead, that they were able to go down and win the game again, which is another thing that I just would not have expected at that point when they had to score a touchdown. Now it turns out they ended up with 2 field goals and that they didn't have to score a touchdown, but they were able to get down there in field goal range, multiple times to win the game. Brock Purdy didn't play well. I mean, just flat out didn't play well. And my overarching thing, and I'll just kind of kick it back around to you guys on this. My overarching theme is, and I think I mentioned this to you guys a few weeks back, it's the notion of like, look, Brock Purdy to this point in his career has checked every freaking box possible as far as things he can do on the field and skill set and all that. But we're still learning about him, right? We're still learning because he has played so little. It doesn't mean that, he's going to turn into a pumpkin or anything and it's going to be not real. Like, I'm not going down that road, but we are going to learn things about him over the course of a full season. What are the types of defenses that give him problems? What are the types of environments that give him problems? There's a lot of Niner fans here. This was a good, energetic crowd. I was impressed with the Browns fans today. They were into the game. I think it was a hardy group that's seen a lot of losing football over the years, so they were just appreciative of a competitive game against a team like the Niners. So they were kind of getting into it as the game. It just kind of took on a life of its own, and then the 49ers, shorthanded in the second half, had to go try to steal it, and I think that's what it would have been. I thought Fred Warner after the game said, the Browns deserved it more today, which I think was true. I think if the Niners win, they would have stolen it. So it just kind of, we're learning, like, is the wet football a thing, to bring it back to Purdy? Like, maybe not, but it's something interesting. This was probably the coldest game he's played in, if not the coldest, top 2 or 3 coldest games. Again, California cold, it was like 50, not like 10. But and a little bit. So just we're learning new things about Brock Purdy, because every great quarterback still has weaknesses and still has bad matchups and still has teams that he plays worse against compared to other teams, or styles he plays worse against other teams. So we learned a little bit about that as far as Purdy goes. And then here's just the last quick thing. Jake Moody's got to make the 41-yarder. And I thought the miss on what was it, a 50-yarder earlier in the game?
54.
54. I thought that was the first real kick that he's I think he's, again, checked all the boxes to this point, but I thought that was the first real, hey, in some elements, it's not a gimme. Like, you miss a 54-yarder, all right, fine, you missed a 50, no big deal there. But it was the first kick that in a little bit of a hostile environment, in a game that was close with some elements, although it wasn't crazy elements, but it was a little cold and it was a little wet, and he misses that one. That, to me, I thought, okay, well, let's see how he handles this thing if it comes down to the end. You can't miss a 41-yarder. Like if it had been a 54-yarder he'd missed, I'd be like, hey, nothing to see here. He's a rookie you can't miss a 41-yarder. And the Niners, maybe, we could I'm sure you guys have discussed, did they bungle it a little bit at the end? Should they have run another play? Should they have tried to get a little closer? One thing we know moving forward, they better try to get closer because it's going to take a while. It would, at least for me, and I would never admit it in a press conference, and Kyle Shanahan didn't. And one of the big themes in the locker room was everybody had Moody's back, from Fred Warner to Brock Purdy to Kyle Shanahan. Like, nobody wanted to put it on him. If I'm Shanahan, I'm nervous as hell because you want the 41-yarders to be automatic. And like you can't sweat out 36, 37 yarders to win a game like that. Because you know what? The Niners might find themselves in a playoff game somewhere where they have to win the game like they did today. We've seen the Niners win playoff games like they did today. Green Bay, Dallas, I thought 2 years ago on the road, like games where they just didn't play well, but they hung around, made a couple plays, and it was like, all right, boom, you get down to field goal range, you got to make the kick. You got to make the kick. So to me, the pressure mounts on Jake Moody. You miss a 41-yarder to win a game, the pressure mounts. And so now we're going to see how he handles it and how Kyle Shanahan maybe has to feel like he has to address or adjust his play calling in situations to account for it.
They say sometimes, hey, man, that was a good team win. This was a good team loss, right? I mean, it really was. I'm glad they didn't put it all on Moody because it's not all on Moody. As you said, Purdy wasn't good. Ayuk wasn't good. Kittle wasn't good. The O-line wasn't good.
They got manhandled. They got manhandled tonight.
The run D was not good. The officials weren't good. There were a lot. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all on Moody. Vish pissed off brother Bob says biggest villain equals Moody. Drafted 4 long field goals and deep kickoffs. Drafted 4. Not sure. Drafted for long field goals and deep kickoffs. Yeah. JD, you said it can't happen. Okay, so I agree with you. It can't happen. You can't miss a 41-yarder. And I'm glad that Kyle didn't verbally put it on him. And I'm glad that the players backed him up because, as I said, it really was a team defeat here. But got to make a 41-yard field goal. Robbie Gould's still unsigned. He's never missed in the postseason. He's sitting by his phone. You could get him for cheap. Nobody's, it's one thing with, well, we don't want to pay him $5 million. Well, guess what? It's October 15th. He's no longer getting $5 million. He's probably getting hardly anything. He probably is something similar to what Jake Moody's making at this point. When do they make that phone call? Do they make that phone call? What does your intel say about where they're at with that decision? Because it seems to me that Moody may have more rope, but it's not an endlessly long rope. This is a Super Bowl team in their Super Bowl window. It will be completely unacceptable if he misses a bunch of kicks and they go into the playoffs with a kicker they don't believe in, trying to win around their kicker. I don't believe I guess the question is this: how many more misses does he have before they say, you know what, Jake's got a quad and he's going on IR? Oh, and guess what? Robbie Gould's here today.
To me, if he costs him another game,
one more game.
I think if he costs him one more game at any point, that I think they're looking at that. I don't think they're looking at it now, and I think the fact that he's kicked as well as he has leading up to today is that makes it an easy sell. That makes it easy for them to come in and say, hey, we were 5-0, didn't do a lot of things well today.
It was 9 for 9 or something, right?
Right, exactly. Like, it in a lot of ways, it's easy to hit the reset, I think. But, now we have to see if this impacts him on other kicks. Because I will say this, and Moody he'd made all the kicks. That's great. But here's the thing as far as I'm concerned, I don't think Moody really had, other than the 57-yarder, I thought all of his kicks were extremely low pressure and in comfortable environments in terms of the elements and the game situation, all that. And not that you're getting points taken away for that, but it was just, I think some people had viewed Moody as like, well, he's found it. He's figured it out. He's got it. He struggled in the preseason. He's got it back and he's just good to go. To me, he hadn't made a kick. Like that's great. Like you need that. Like if he had missed a bunch of kicks, then and then this had happened today, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But as far as I look at it, I think he didn't make a consequential kick of the 9 other than the 57-yarder. And so to me, there were 2 consequential misses today. There was the 50. Was it 54? I thought for some reason I thought it was 50, but neither here nor there.
54. His career high was 57. He was kicking today from 54. He missed, and he missed from 41 at the end.
Yeah, then 41 at the end. But so anyway, regardless, so he misses the 54. To me, that was a real kick. That was a on the road, like let's see what you got kick. Misses it. End of the game, 41-yarder. Pressure's on. Stadium's going nuts. And you don't make that kick. Like to me, if that happens again, or if this starts impacting other kicks, where now he starts missing other kicks because he missed this kick and he's carrying the weight around, even though nobody's blaming him, then we got a problem. Then they're gonna have to address it. So I think we're a game away from some big time. We're probably a game away from being a game away in general. But if there's another game like today, I think there's going to be a strong push for making some kind of a temporary change, not cutting him, but making some kind of a change, like you said, faux injury and see what's out there. By the way, just quickly on Robbie Gould.
Some people really push back on this. Like, by the way, Jorge Reyes says, how many years has Moody been in the NFL? Give him a break. Ridiculous take. You know, I hear you, and that sounds very logical, but the same thing that he hasn't been in the league very long. Nobody's saying they're going to cut him, but doesn't mean they're going to lean on him either. You know what I'm saying? It's not like your choices are cut or go with this guy. You can put him on the IR and go sign Robbie Gould if you want. You could do whatever you want.
Just could you imagine? And I know you guys have probably all thought about this, but could you imagine the 49ers having a 14-3, 15-2 season? And they get to the playoffs after everything that they've been through the last 4 or 5 years. And the biggest game of the year, Super Bowl, championship game, whatever, divisional game, any kind of whatever, name your playoff game, comes down to a 40-yarder and the rookie kicker misses it. And every single thing of this season that was the get-back year off of last year, and Purdy, McCaffrey, and this is the year. And it ends because the rookie kicker that you spent a 3rd-round pick on can't make again, not a 50-yarder, 54-yarder, can't make a 41-yarder. Like to me, you can't let that you can't let that happen if you're the 49ers, even have a chance to happen in my mind if you're the 49ers, if he continues to show signs of not being able to get it done in the big. And here's the other thing. He could make he can make all his other kicks, but if he's going to miss 3 games, if he's going to miss 3 kicks and you end up losing 3 games because he misses 3 kicks, and again, they're all in what I deem to be the makeable, like 41. If you miss 41, that's a bad miss. Like that's just
is. I drilled a 42-yarder as a sophomore.
Like it.
I want to see film of that, by the way.
You know, and it's not like he wasn't kicking in Chicago last year in the opener. Like again, there were some elements today, but it's not like it was whipping around off the lake and you know, the flags on the goalpost were you know, relatively tame on that end at the moment of the kick. They kind of built this stadium the way they structured it to try and keep some of the wind that comes in right off the lake from getting in, but so it wasn't like it was, you know, kicking at Candlestick or in the old Meadowlands or something, you know, back when the Giants and Jets played there. This was a kick that should have been made.
I mean, Shanahan clearly was fine with not getting any more yards at the end. So since he was fined about not getting any more yards at the end, you can't say, well, I didn't expect him to make it. You did expect him to make it. Otherwise, you would have tried to get more yards. So you expected him to make that.
He will next time. He will next time, Larry. I guarantee you he will try to get more yards next time.
Yeah, I know. Vish, pissed off brother Bob, says DJ, he means JD, gets it. He's objective. We need to call gold.
Ooh, Jake Elliott just missed a 37-yarder.
With Philly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did. I'm watching. Oh, my goodness. Hey,
NorCal refrigeration.
The Eagles are basically playing the same game the Niners are playing today.
I know, against the Jets. Well, it kind of shows. I mean, you can't get up for every game in the NFL, and that's just the way it is. The Niners have had some awesome teams. Have they ever run the table? Never. NorCal Refrigeration says Mike Kofor flashbacks help. And we got this one from WTM. Number one Purdy fear is hope that the seventh round never shows. All I would say to the people who are anti-Purdy, did you expect him to win every game? Did you expect him to win every single game he plays in? No. Come on. He was going to lose. And he wasn't good today. I would never argue that he was good. But I wouldn't hold this one on him necessarily. There are games where it's on the quarterback. Hey, you know what? The rest of the team played great. We ran for 5-2 a carry, blah, blah, blah. And the quarterback turned it over 3 times in the red zone. That's on the quarterback. This one was a team loss. Apollo. Purdy confirmed. Overrated. There you go. JD, we got this one from Fish and Chips. JD, this game was lost by Kyle at the 3:12 mark of the fourth quarter. What's he referring to there?
What did he do at the 3? What was that when they went?
That's when they got this. That's when.
Is that when they went 3 and out?
I think he's talking about when there was 3:21 left, and the Niners got the ball down 17-16.
Yeah,
Purdy threw it away.
Yeah.
And he got intentional grounding. Then Purdy went to Ayuk on an out route for 10 yards. Then Purdy threw it away on 3rd and 11, and then they punted.
I don't see that as Kyle.
And it was all passes. What he's saying is they should have run the ball.
I disagree because you're running the clock. If you get
3:21
incompletion, they couldn't run on him for 1. 2, you get a chance you took barely any time out off the clock, so they were able to get the ball back. Had they run 1 or 2 plays and run off another minute, maybe you don't even get that last drive. So I don't look at that as anything against Kyle. They just didn't execute it, and but it took no time.
But even see, I think I'll defend the texter. He feels buoyed by the fact that Greg Olsen said, that's your 4-minute. Remember on the broadcast, he goes, that's your 4-minute offense, 3 passes. I would have run the ball here. So I think that's also why he's saying that in the text, because he heard the announcer say that as well. I mean, it was 3 passes. You did have 3+ minutes. You started on your own 25. You could have run the ball a little bit instead. Pass, and punt. I don't know. I mean, let's be honest, guys. All of this in these post-game shows, and you guys know it too, it's all 20/20 hindsight, right? I mean, it's like we're all sitting here. We know what happened. It's now easy to kind of blame everybody, but
wasn't the first play when Purdy went down on his knee? Was that the one where they lost yardage?
Yeah.
So you were forced to throw after that. Because you're second and what? What was it?
Second and 21.
Yeah, so you're not going to run. It's with 3 minutes to go.
Right.
Second and
right.
21.
No, once you got negative yardage on the first down play, you're right, Danny. You're absolutely right. But I think what he's saying is the first down play should have been a 4-minute offense run. But I mean, it's 20/20 hindsight. Stand on it says defense had 2 picks and we lost. Heavy frustration. Fish and Chip says Win was winning 17-16, not losing. Yeah.
By the way, another similarity in this Eagles game, Lane Johnson got rolled up on, and he's out of the game. Looks like probably similar
right tackle,
ankle sprain or high ankle. I'm not sure.
Did you when I saw the replay of Trent, it looked like I didn't see him roll his ankle. It looked like it was up higher, but he came back in. Did they say anything, JD, afterwards? Was that a high ankle, or what'd they say after the injury report?
Yeah, Trent did speak, and he said it was he didn't get in. He said it wasn't feeling good. I think it was more the ankle. He didn't say high or low, but it was the ankle. And he said, hey, this is the NFL, and I'm going to try to grind it out for my teammates going against 95. And he mentioned Myles Garrett specifically, and also said, hey, it wouldn't be fair to let Jalen Moore have to go in and handle that situation. So he just manned up. And you could tell pretty quickly that he from watching the 49ers sideline, and I was on the stadium side that was the 49ers sideline, you could tell that he was definitely going to give it a go. And Trent Williams typically, he will always give it a go if he has. Yeah. I mean,
I just hope it's not like it was a couple years ago when he against the Rams, where it was that high ankle and
No, and it may. Hey, honestly, it may be something that's worse tomorrow.
It sure looked like it on the replay, because it looked like it was way up. I watched specifically to see if his ankle rolled, and I didn't see it roll.
Did Shanahan say anything or provide any data at all on the injuries as far as going forward? If any of them are serious or any of them are, what did he say about the injuries? Usually he starts his presser with the injuries.
Yeah,
anything
there's no
revealing about Debo, CMC, Trent, anything?
Yeah, he didn't. There was, Trent came back in, and Trent addressed it himself, as I just alluded to there. But yeah, no, Debo. The only news was just the X-rays being negative on the shoulder, and there's going to be further testing coming up tomorrow. But it sounds like they feel like Debo's going to be okay. McCaffrey, the oblique, there wasn't anything specific. McCaffrey did not speak to the media. He took you get an out if you're an injured player that doesn't finish the game. You're not required to speak to the media. So McCaffrey took the out and didn't speak to it. And Shanahan didn't have any information on McCaffrey. But the one thing he did add was he said oblique rib. So, we're thinking oblique, and McCaffrey came back for the one play and then ended up calling it a day and going to the locker room at that point. So stay tuned on that. So oblique and rib are a little bit different. Is it a muscle, core type of a thing, or is this something where he's got, a cracked rib or a bruised rib or something like that he's going to have to try and either play with or rest up or rest up and then play with. And, that's one of those things, obviously you can shoot it up, but we're probably a little early in the season for that at 5-1.
We're 2 hours and 32 minutes into this live stream. We're going to cut it here in a couple minutes, but I just do want to get two thoughts out. One, JD, one of the things that we talked about was what's going to be the primary talk around either locally or the country tomorrow. There's lots of blame here. M. Patel in the chat said Purdy sucked. Purdy was trash today. So he's focusing on Purdy. Other people, Kev focused on Purdy. Some people will say, hey, emotional letdown. Other people will say, no, Dre Greenlaw, they couldn't stop the run. Some people will point to the injuries. Some people will point to the fact that, Schwartz owns Shanahan. He's 9-1 or whatever against Shanahan. They had the number 1 D. Some people are going to point to the Ayuk drops. People will point to the Kittle being a non-factor, the terrible calls against Gibson and Mooney Ward, the missed field goals, the Shanahan conservative play calling at the end when he could have gotten more yardage. What do you think's the primary tomorrow, locally and nationally, as far as whose feet get held to the fire the most for this loss?
I think it's going to be a re-examination of Purdy, just because Purdy got all the flowers and then some last week with the game that he had on the national stage against the Cowboys. So nationally, I think it's going to be questions about Purdy and just continuing to dissect that, because I think the quarterback always is a huge part of the discussion. But I think locally it's going to be a lot of Purdy was bad. Let's not panic. I think the officials are going to be a huge topic tomorrow. I think I think Moody's going to be a topic. I think concern over Moody is going to be a big topic tomorrow. And, just the notion that, the 49ers, once they get into some of these tight physical games, I think their ability to win them, I think, or when things kind of gets, because it really was a perfect storm. I mean, the injuries and the calls and Larry, you laid it all out, and Purdy not being good and all of that. So I also think there should be some discussion of, hey, McCaffrey and Debo, weren't there, and the Niners offense against an excellent defense looked ordinary. They got. I thought that, the Niners didn't win at the line of scrimmage today. I thought the Browns were really taking it to them. They pushed them around and ran the football on them as the game went on, which really helped them set up those final 2 field goal drives that won them the game. And I thought, there's also, and this is me, and I'll leave it at this. I thought today also is an example of just how freaking good the 49ers are and what it took to beat them. When you name all these different things, Larry, that you just did, all these 10 different things, my overarching takeaway is, and they still, if a guy makes a kick that he should make, that they win the game. And we're talking about 6-0. And I think that the chatter at that point is, maybe like, can anybody beat this team? Because I said a few weeks back, the Rams game, I thought, you got to play almost a perfect game to beat the Niners. The Browns surely didn't do that today. But, I mean, the Niners played not their best game in so many different ways, had some, things go against them with maybe the officiating, maybe the injuries, all things that happen, not excuses. But you could say, hey, these things went against you, and you still are a makeable kick. I mean, it wasn't like this was a 60-yard kick that they were trying to flail at, for a Hail Mary at the end of the game to win it. It was a makeable kick. And I do think the Browns deserve to win the game. I think if the Niners had won, you could say they deserve to win the game. It's not like but they didn't. And then when they didn't, you can go back and say, you know what, they probably didn't deserve it. So, yeah.
All right. Last question. When we just empty the supers here, Aaron L says, can you see the Niners getting an O tackle at the deadline? I don't. I just don't see one being available. If there was one, I could see it. I just don't see it. Vish, pissed off brother Bob, says Chubless and Sans Watson, the Browns beat us nuts. WTF. I know. It's the unpredictability of the NFL. We have this one from brother Bob. He says, JD, you think CMC equals the engine and MVP of our offense?
Yes. Okay. Short answer, yes. I've been on that from the jump. I mean, he, again, and that doesn't take anything away from Purdy. So don't take it that way, because that's not that. But to me, McCaffrey's the straw that stirs the drink. You take him away, and then you've got a chance at maybe taking some other things away if you're really good up front, like the Browns were in this one. I think McCaffrey is the guy. It honestly reminds me of Steph Curry. It's like McCaffrey walked onto this team, and it's like he's just clearly better than Debo and Kittle and Ayuk. Like, he's just better at what he does than those guys. Again, they're all very good players. And so you're making very good players, they're getting more space to operate, and Kyle can get in his bag, and then Purdy adds another dynamic to it. But no, McCaffrey to me is the head of the snake. And you know what? Let's see if this team has to play without McCaffrey for a month. Not that they're going to lose every game, but let's just see how the offense functions. They end up with 17 today. I've been on this. I think if McCaffrey's out, it's going to be, they're still going to score points. They're still going to be a good offense, but it's going to be a lot more of a struggle, and it's going to look, I think, more like it looked at times with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback over the years, where it was a lot of hits, but also a few more misses in some of these moments.
Titus Mollers' scenario I'd like to run by you guys all is, assuming injuries happened and excluding factors like the rain, who do you think Purdy must have to be successful? I think we just said it. It's got to be either, it's CMC or Debo. And today there was times where he really didn't have either. And I think those are the guys that you can hand it to or throw it to him short. You got to have one of those guys. And there was times he didn't have either. Fish and Chips is explaining himself. He said Kyle had the hand 17-16. They were up. He chose to throw 3 times. He ran no time off the clock. At least let the Browns burn their timeouts. Ask him why. Did anybody ask him why he didn't force the Browns?
Picked off by the Jets. He's going all the way to the 15, to the 8-yard line. Oh, my goodness. Hurts just got picked off again.
Wait a second, Danny. I'm behind you now. I'm behind you. So I'm at 2-minute warning. Hurts dropping back to pass at the 45-yard, his own 45-yard line, and I think he's probably going to throw a pick, ladies and gentlemen. And he did. Unbelievable foresight by the announcer. Unbelievable. I'm Tony Romo. Play before play. The Jets are going to beat the Eagles.
All they need is a field goal.
Well, there's a lot of time left.
Minute 50,
no, there's only 150 left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I thought there was like
2 timeouts for
left.
Philly. 2 timeouts for Philly.
God.
Better punch it in.
Well, we'll monitor that as we
and
finish
4
up
turnovers for Philly, by the way. 3 interceptions, 4 turnovers.
Wow. The coach weighs in too. Coach, what's going on, Coach? Good to see you. Coach and I stream on Saturdays. If you're looking anywhere but the offensive performance in this game, you're fooling yourself. Defense did their job. Browns had more penalties and more injuries, plus our 2 picks. This is on the O. Do you guys agree with the coach?
100%. The offensive miscues that I spoke about earlier, the penalties, way too many down and distances. It was 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20. We're talking 3 or 4 drives. This team was looking at 3rd and 15 plus. You've mentioned the drops by BA, Larry, the offensive line, not a sharp performance. Purdy's missing throws like the McCaffrey wheel route that should have been a touchdown. The interception. McCaffrey, after the first drive, was non-existent after that first drive. We mentioned it. 10 carries for 13 yards after that first drive. So, the offense, I agree with Coach. This loss is on the offense. You could say it was a team loss.
It is a team loss.
You could say, you could say it was a team loss.
I mean, it was on Moody, too.
This defense, Larry, you can't blame the defense for the performance today. I don't think
the
defense.
4.7 a carry, dude. That's almost 5 yards a pop.
They didn't even score 20 points.
One of them was a jet sweep by Marquise Goodwin. Ford busted a 20-yard run.
I know. It's the offense.
That's not atrocious.
No, I know. But I'm just saying.
Bad.
What I'm saying, it's a team
game. They forced
game.
2 turnovers.
Yeah, no,
Fred
I know.
Warner picked him off. Demo Lenore picked him off. No, I agree with Coach. This loss is on the offense and the miscues.
But this was I was expecting the Niner defense to wreck shop. There was no Watson. You're dealing with the 3rd string quarterback. You're dealing with the 3rd string running back. You should have shut this team down. This team should have scored nothing, and they did score very little. But that's why I said it was a team thing. Dazza says even if CMC can play, it would be good to see him held out against a bad team and keep him healthy for the playoffs. Yeah, I would like to see them spread it around and use Mason a little bit more. And then we got this one who Vish, pissed off brother Bob, says, JD, yep, Moody was, what is that? Crap. Stained buns and may have the yips now. Okay. I love the illustration. Very, very demonstrative there. The Jets have scored.
And
2-point conversion.
And they got the 2-point conversion?
Yeah, 2014, minute 46
2014.
To go.
So a touchdown.
25.
This is
a touchdown will beat them, but the Eagles, I guess and this is interesting. This is very similar to what Purdy just faced. What did Purdy have, a minute 30 at the end there? And drove down for what should have been the winning field goal.
Yeah, the Jets
now Hurts has a minute 45, but he needs a touch.
I think Jets just let him go in for the touchdown. It didn't look like they made any effort to stop him.
Yeah, he should have went down. He should have went down.
So now Hurts, who's thrown for 279 yards and 3 picks.
Picked again. Oh, almost picked again. Oh,
3 picks. He's got 3 picks tonight.
All right, Dan, you have to be quiet because
my head
you're ahead of us.
Yeah, seriously, don't give it away, Danny. I'm gonna wait a second. The chat wants a mute, Danny. Let's mute Danny for a second. After his Alyssa Nakin outburst, I was just uncalled for. JD, final thought, and as we go around the room here, is watching the end of Jets Eagles. Almost a 4th pick. But the last thing. Now that we have seen the Niners lose, and we've seen their frailties. We've seen their weaknesses. We've seen them in a bad situation. Let's go around the room. What do you guys think the Niners' record at the end of the year will be? Kev, we'll start with you. You haven't talked in a while.
I think they'll probably drop 3 games. What is that, 14-3?
14-3?
I think there's a good chance they drop another game to a good team. I still think this team's a good team. I thought Purdy had a bad day, but I still think this team's going to be good. I still think Purdy's going to be good. I think it was a perfect storm for a bad game, and they lost. So on to next week, I guess. Monday night, right?
Yeah. Baller, what do you think? What kind of record are the Niners going to finish with now that you've seen them lose?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Kev. 14-3. They do have some tough games on the schedule ahead of it, but this team, they were playing in such a dominant fashion. I think they're going to get back to those winning ways. 14-3.
Rye, what do you think?
13-4.
Who really? 13-4. You have them with 4 losses.
Yeah, they have a lot of just sneaky tough games. Like, the Eagles is the one team that is like, oh my God, that's the big matchup. But just like even just like that at Jacksonville, they have just like a lot of games like that where it's like they could get caught.
JD, what do you think? You were there, boots on the ground. You get a feeling. You were in the locker room, so you get a feeling about how they reacted to the loss. You've been in the locker room a lot this summer. How does this team play out?
Yeah, I think they knew they didn't play well today, and deserved the loss that they got. So when I look at it, I think it's still 13-14. I'm probably more inclined to say 13, but I think the other part of today is it tells you that they may just get got in some of the games you don't see coming. Like, Dallas, they had that game circled.
Cincinnati and this game were both rest advantages. Wasn't this a rest advantage today for the Browns guys?
Yeah, they were out of bye last week.
Yeah,
they were coming off their bye.
And Cincinnati's in the same situation. Rest means an awful lot in the NFL.
Yeah, so I think 13, 14. I think the injuries lead me toward 13, right? Because the Niners have been relatively healthy, but now it looks like maybe no McCaffrey for a bit, maybe no Debo for a bit, and that could lead to maybe an extra loss here along the way. So yeah, I'll say 13 or 14.
Eagles are 4th and 8, and Kurtz is going up top, and I was going to say he's picked, but he wasn't. But it was incomplete, and the Jets will pull the upset. Danny, unmute Danny for a second. It's a better show when Danny's muted. Have you noticed that? Danny, now that you're back, what do you think? What's the Niners' record going to be?
I'm in denial. 17-0 still. 17-0. This didn't happen. The refs blew it. They're going to review it after tomorrow. You do that when you're like 10 years old. They didn't lose. I say 14-3.
Yeah, I think you guys are right. I could see the Bengals being a loss. I could see the Eagles being a loss, and I could see maybe one of those Seattle games being a loss. So it's 13-4, 14-3. I may even lean with Rye. I may go 13-4, just because I could see, the attrition. You lose some key players. It's a long year. Last one is before we call it quits here, and we're now 2 hours and 48 minutes in. The Jets are going to beat the Eagles, so there are no more winless teams. Both of the undefeated teams go down to defeat. The Niners lose in Cleveland. The Eagles lose in Philly. Does the Eagles' loss in Philly take the sting out of the Niners' loss in Cleveland?
Yes,
absolutely,
1,000%. The Eagles not only did they lose this game, but next week they've got the Dolphins. So enjoy that. That sucks. I would hate to have to play the Dolphins next week. And also, Sauce Gardner was out. I'm pretty sure their top 2 corners were out, and Jalen Hurts threw all those picks and almost picks. So
Jets D is tough.
And Rodgers is maybe coming. I mean, what the hell? Rodgers is throwing on the sideline like a madman.
He'll be back. He's coming back
with weapons.
Yeah. Well, good win for Robert Saleh, by the way. Kev, JD, what do you guys think? Does the loss by the Eagles to the Jets change the vibe at all tomorrow about the Niners' loss?
I think it does for sure. Kev, I mean, I'll let you jump in. I think it absolutely does.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think this Eagles team looks pretty it looks a lot different from last year. They don't look as dominant. They don't have Shane Steichen. Their offense isn't humming the same. I think that if they're the number one contender for the NFC, if it isn't the Lions, or the Lions, I think steamrolled the Bucs today. But if it's the Eagles, you feel a little bit better today when your team didn't look as good. So
yeah. Hey, this is the part of the show where I throw some love on these guys. Every guy in my streams, I only stream with people that I truly love. So all these people in this room, I truly love. Let's start with Bay Area Baller. Everybody, if you're not already liked and subscribed at Bay Area Baller 18, let's give this guy some love. The guy hustles. He works at it. He's got a great perspective. We love having him on the post games. He's going to be part of our Warrior coverage, hopefully starting Tuesday night. With the opener, we're going to do we're not going to do every Warrior post game, but we'll do a few. And, Frank Red and Carl Foster and Rye and, JD and Danny, you guys are all invited, of course, every time we go live after Warrior basketball. I love all your guys' perspective on Warrior hoops, and I can't wait to hear a lot of your perspective on Warrior hoops, especially after watching the Warriors-Lakers Friday night. And did you guys see the TJD block at the end with like 17 seconds left? It was fucking awesome, and I can't wait to see what Golden State can do this year. But I just want to say to everybody, Bay Area Baller 18, go give him a like and subscribe over there. He does a great job. He's building his channel. He's a phenomenal talent. Baller, we'll let you go, brother. Final word on your way out the door.
Hey, appreciate it. Glad to be here. Love talking ball with you guys. Fellas in the chat, tomorrow night, Monday nights, I talk to my boys, me and 3 other guys straight out of the Bay is our show. 8 p.m. We're going to be breaking down this Niner game in further detail. I'll go back and watch this game back and see if I notice anything that I missed. But, hey, fellas, thanks for having me on. We'll talk soon. Go Niners. Go Dubs.
There you go. Baller. By the way, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, Ned Colletti and Brian Sabian on the Krug show together. That is going to be an epic stream. Danny, everybody go subscribe over to Danny's channel, NorCal Sports Network. Danny's building that thing up. He's not just a Giants channel. He's going to do Niners stuff later tonight. He's going to be doing Warrior stuff. He's going to be doing a lot of Bay Area sports throughout the year. So everybody give NorCal Sports Network a follow and a like and a subscribe over there. Danny, your final thought.
Yeah. Hey, it was, tough loss.
Thanks, Danny. No, I'm just
yeah, love it. No, it's a tough loss, but as always, getting muted. But hey, if you want more of what you just had, I'm going to have Larry on tonight at 8:30. I don't know for how long he can stay, but at 8:30, we're going to do an NFL
90 seconds.
wrap-up.
It'll be 90 seconds.
Yeah, 90 seconds. We're going to do an NFL wrap-up, a little bit more on the Niners. We'll touch on the American League Championship Series game tonight between the Astros and the Rangers.
I'm betting Rangers.
Baker. I'm going Rangers too. But everybody in the chat, come on over at 8:30 and join Larry and I and my guys Los and Bora. The 4 of us will be going at it, and with Larry, Eric's our baseball guy and our current events. He does current events.
He's your war correspondent.
He's our war correspondent. Yeah. Over
so
hey,
most importantly, NorCal Sports Network. Give Danny a like and a follow over there. He does great stuff. Danny, we'll talk to you later tonight.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you.
There you go. Rye Smith, bottom corner here at West Coast Smitty. Rye's got a great YouTube channel that's starting up as well. Rye, it's at West Coast Smitty, right? That's at West Coast Smitty on Twitter, but it's West Coast Bias on YouTube.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be doing a 6:30 show where we're just going to go over and dick around every game from the slate today. So,
all right. Love you, brother. Have a good one, man. Good to talk to you. There you go. JD, you're on 95.7 The Game. Safe travels back from Cleveland. We'll see you in the locker room, I'm sure, on Tuesday or on Wednesday and Thursday. But when are you going to appear next on the radio? When can we check you out?
Yeah, Steiny and Guru tomorrow, I think in the 1 o'clock hour Pacific time, right before I head back. So I'm going to be staying over, doing some stuff, digital stuff, and then I'll be on with those guys tomorrow at 1. And then, looking forward to it. I'll see you this week.
Yeah, you're the best, dude. Safe travels back from Cleveland, man, and we'll catch you Wednesday.
Appreciate it.
By the way,
thanks, Kev.
Warriors open Tuesday night, right?
A week from Tuesday.
A week from Tuesday.
Yeah.
Against Phoenix, Tuesday. Right? Week from Tuesday.
Against
so
Phoenix.
A week from Tuesday, maybe we'll be able to get you back on the show. But yeah, we'll talk to you next week, JD. Have a great weekend, and once again, safe travels back from Cleveland.
Thanks, JD.
Kev, you don't have your own YouTube channel.
Subscribe to the Krug Show.
Subscribe to the Krug Show.
Wait, can I make an announcement? If for all the
do.
people that have made it this far into the live stream, we'll do a little pre-announcement. We're doing a jersey giveaway. A jersey giveaway sponsored by Mojo Fantasy. All you have to do to enter is click the link in the description, download the Mojo Fantasy app, make your first deposit using promo code Krug, and you're automatically entered into the contest. We're giving away 2 jerseys. I think we're going Purdy, and
Brock Purdy,
and Bosa,
and Nick Bosa, and they will be. They will, don't worry about like, oh, I don't know if it's going to fit me. We're gonna, whatever size you are, that's what jersey you're going to get.
Yeah.
So
and if you would want,
you're tiny,
player,
you're getting a small jersey. If you're a monster, you're getting a big jersey. We will not. You don't. It's not like you're getting a jersey that's some random size. You're going to get your jersey, either a Bosa or a Purdy. Go to mojo.com. Click the link in the description.
Use promo code Krug.
Type in promo code Krug, and you're automatically entered. And we will be giving away the jersey on Thanksgiving after Niners Seattle on our post game stream, which we're going to be doing from my wife's father's house, our parents' house.
Yeah. So
how about that?
It may
we're going to be on the road. We're going to be a road stream.
There might be some good value here because I don't think it's like a raffle ticket, and there might be only a few entries. So you have a pretty good chance. You have a pretty good chance of getting a jersey if you just enter in.
Yeah. So once again, there's a link in the description for mojo.com, Mojo Fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just click the link and make their first deposit
using promo code Krug.
And you're automatically entered to win either a Bosa or a Purdy jersey. What if there's 2 winners and they both want Purdy jerseys?
We probably could make it happen, but we'll guarantee to Bosa and Purdy.
Either a Bosa or a Purdy.
Yeah.
You get your choice. That sounds like a good deal. So once again, click the link in the description, download the Mojo Fantasy app, use the promo code Krug, make your first deposit, and you are entered into a contest for the Purdy or Bosa jersey that we'll give away on Thanksgiving in the postgame.
It's the giving season.
Mark Graves says, thank God, don't need a medium like the Warrior jersey Larry had to wear. That was a small. Kevin got a little testy earlier today. How'd you feel about the exchanges?
I don't know why you're so mad. You're defending.
Because I just didn't like the fact that you were burying Brock. I mean, I'm not saying that, I usually go family over country and family over football, but
dude, I mean, here's one.
I felt like you're dumping on Brock, and I just didn't think that was warranted.
Brock Purdy, who's been really great in this category throughout the season, he had a negative 14% completion percentage over expected. So that means he was completing balls that he usually would make. He usually had I think the last games he had plus 10%, plus 14%. So he was completing balls he shouldn't have completed. This game, he was not completing balls he should have.
By the way, get some great chats in here. We got this one. Kevin is a realist from Couch Potato. Davis says gambling is bad. Gambling is bad.
It's fantasy. It's not gambling.
It's not gambling. Davis is fantasy. Nick J says Brock deserves to be dumped on after today.
I don't know if you can dump on him, but I just think you just gotta be real. Like, let's be real. He didn't have a good game, and you were saying that, so we were agreeing.
Yeah. I just didn't like your tone. Larry, why did Sabian not put Eric Young on the 2003 playoff roster? I promise I'm not bringing that up.
That's a crazy pullback.
Teasy says, what does it say? Testy is the best. Purdy is Larry's family at this point. Look at this one. From G Martinez. Brock's his son too, Kev.
He has to pick.
Yeah, seriously. Would I pick Kev over Brock? I'd pick Kev. I was there at the beginning for Kev, so I gotta stay with Kev. I saw him when he came out into the world, and we've grown him up nicely. See all that hair up there? He didn't have any of that. He came out, he was bald. He was freaking bald. He couldn't crawl. He couldn't do anything.
Lame.
Just absolutely weak at the beginning. Couldn't bench 2 plates. Now he can bench 2 plates. Then couldn't do 2 plates. Kind of useless at the beginning. No, he was a beautiful little kid. Teasy said Larry's making a formal request to trade Kev for Purdy. Kyle, would you take a very talented Cal Poly senior for your starting quarterback in return? We got this one. Power Ranger. Larry, really enjoy your content. Keep it up. Oh, man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Do not miss my live stream tomorrow at 4:00 with Ned Colletti and Brian Sabian. It is going to be epic. Ned said this is going to be one for the ages. I don't know exactly how long I have them, but we will talk about, and it's not going to be, I mean, if you guys are expecting it to be just a gigantic Giants rip fest, think again. These guys are too classy. I'm too classy. I'm not going to put them in a position to be like, 4-on sucks. What do you guys think? It's not going to happen. Kapler was a sideshow. Don't you guys? I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to ask him about his departure from the Giants, Sabes. We're going to talk about their era. If you have questions you want to send me on Twitter, I'll probably call for some questions here in the next day. I've got a bunch of topics that I want to hit. We'll probably get into that story about Lasorda and sitting with Lasorda and the whole Sinatra thing. That we'll probably get Brian's thing on there. But it'll be good. It's going to be good because Sabes and Ned are fantastic individually, but they're even better together. I don't always prepare for every stream that I do. Sometimes I wing it. This one I will be preparing for tonight, watching Rangers Astros. And I know a lot of you guys are football people only, but if you're a baseball Bay Area fan, Ned Colletti and Brian Sabian together are phenomenal. And so it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Tomorrow at 4:00. You can also catch me tomorrow at 8 a.m. with Damon Bruce on the Palmetto Superfoods Wake Up 49ers show. I'm sure that will be pretty lively considering the Niners lost and we didn't get a chance to get Damon's perspective. Damon might be a little fried because I was supposed to appear on his show today, and he wanted me to come in at the 2-minute warning. And a 2-minute warning, the game wasn't decided, and I just didn't go. So now I'm sure he had teased that I was coming. I didn't come, so maybe he's pissed, which should make tomorrow's live stream all the more juicy if he's really pissed. Kev, you got the final. MF says, good stuff, Larry. Thank you, MF. MF, you were the one who wanted Sabes and Colletti. I had that ringing in my ear, so I made it happen because of you, brother. Hope you appreciate that. It'll be good.
You still haven't got Tim Ryan, though.
Haven't got Tim Ryan, but we will. G. Martinez is Spicy Damon. Yes, it'll be Spicy Damon tomorrow. Kev, your final thought. This was a train wreck of a game. Browns win 19-17. It was the first loss for the 49ers in 16 regular season games. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Your final thought on it.
I mean, no team's perfect. I mean, I think everyone in this 49ers fan base, no matter how high you are on Purdy, and maybe except for a couple people, were predicting that the 49ers were going to lose a game this season. So they lost a game. I think it just gives you more content to talk about, more things to, you could see some weaknesses. I mean, every team has weaknesses, and this is a week where you could see some. So you learn a little bit more about your team. You learn a little bit more about your quarterback. So I think there's some silver linings with this game.
Couple supers on the way out. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten, says, down goes Philly. Oh, I love it. I love it. Antonio Seabrook, Eagles lost 2. Yes. Gamer Life says, Browns exposed the Niners. Sadly, yes. Sadly, yes. And Mr. Solo Dolo says, Purdy threw 1 pick, Hurts threw 3. I'm sure the media will call Purdy trash, but not say shit about Hurts.
Damn near, though. Probably, yeah. I mean, that's a valid complaint because they will probably shit on Purdy and kind of make excuses for Jalen Hurts. I think some people might be like, Hurts is not good, but probably not. Probably not.
Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all you guys, by the way, in the chat. Couldn't do it without you guys. By the way, we are at, just so you guys want to keep track of our channel, we're sitting at 26,010 subscribers. If you're one of the 500 people still hanging out here, hit like and subscribe. Give us a follow. We try to put out as good a content as we possibly can. Giants, Niners, and Warriors is the focus of the channel. We've had 1.6 million views of our material this month. My other son, Christopher, told me this morning that we have approached 10 million total views on our channel since we started the channel.
Jeez.
And we've had over 215 total watch time hours in the last 28 days alone. And we went from 25,000 subs to 26,000 subs in 1 week. Last weekend, we hit 25,000 subs. This weekend, we're at 26,000 subs.
And you made some waves with your Jeremy Chin. I saw some national people saying, would Jeremy Chin look good on the Niners? I'm like, wait a second. Why are they talking about that?
Yeah, seriously. Help us get to 27,000. Can we get to 27,000 can we pick up 1,000 subs a week going forward? We're going to have to grind. But you know me, I'm going to grind. You know Kevy's going to grind. So we're at 26,010 subs. If you've yet to hit like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, please do. And support the Krug Show. Thanks to all of you.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, please.
We have new merch in the merch store. There is for winter season, and some of the prices have been lowered too. We have hats, or we have a hat now. We have a mug, and we have a long sleeve shirt. So get your winter on. There is some new merch. There's still some old merch there. There's still the original T-shirts in limited sizes, and then some of the old merch we've lowered in prices. Because we're trying to make this entry. We want the merch to get out. We want people to wear it. So, and if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments. Tell us how you like the merch.
Yeah,
it's all good.
G Martinez says, "Damn, Krug's on fire." We also are going to be adding 2 new sponsors this week. So it's just the channel's been an unbelievable success. I seriously, I never thought it would be as successful as it is, but this kid over here is really the major reason why. He's fantastic. Kev, you're the best, man. You inspire me every single day to work hard and to build this thing. And we went from 25,000 to 26,000 in 7 freaking days, and we're going to try to do the same damn thing this week. Maybe we'll go from 26,000 to 27,000 just tomorrow during the Sabian and Coletti stream. We'll see about that. We'll try to make that happen. But thanks to all of you guys. Thanks to our sponsors, MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. New York-style Italian sausage. The only kind of Italian sausage I will eat is New York-style Italian sausage. Pig in a pickle, the barbecue leader in all of Northern California. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. They have 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Go get some brisket and go and tell them that Krug sent you. And then, of course, thanks to our sponsor today, Mojo Fantasy, the newest and best daily fantasy app. And definitely use the link in the description. Use that promo code Krug to get your first deposit matched up to $100. That's going to do it for us. I like the Rangers tonight, and check us out tomorrow for a little giant baseball talk, and then we'll be doing a lot of streams all week, talking Niners, looking ahead to the Viking game. I'll be down in Santa Clara doing face-to-face interviews with the players on Wednesday and Thursday, Shanahan as well. So we're having fun. We're growing by leaps and bounds. Great support today on the show. And thanks to all you guys. And Kev, study hard, my son. Have a great night down there in Cal Poly, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.